I'm ready.
And I also did add in a calendar handout that explains Forgotten Realms calendar too. I figured that would be handy to have in there. So there we go. On that note, I will start our campaign theme song. And do this. Oh, it's under GM notes. Who did that? Hold on. I don't know why.
Who did that?
Who
He's
typed up the
Thomas.
entire session summary in GM notes? That doesn't make any. Look at that. Sorry.
I'm sorry.
Now
I'm
you
still
can
trying to figure out this whole DMing thing.
I know. All right, there we go. Now you guys should be able to actually see the session summary.
Unforgivable.
So you all found yourselves in Neverwinter for various mysterious backstory reasons. You all accepted the same job with a random fifth adventurer. Had a couple of encounters on the way from Neverwinter to Gundabad, including sailing past some wreckage, a brief running ship-to-ship battle, which led to the amendment of ship-to-ship combat rules with a pirate ship, the Devil's Fin. And then you found a barely floating rowboat with a teenage boy in it, fought off some Sahawagans. And we are now just outside, or especially we resume just after the Sahawagan attack. And it is the morning of the 17th of Helsturiak, and the party finds itself on the voyage, resuming their journey to Gundabad.
Wunderbar.
Indeed.
All right, let me open this thingy that I should have opened already, and we'll resume. So the teenage boy has been taken down below. What is her name? Oh, there it is. The young woman Chandri has given him some medical care, and he is now conscious and coherent down below deck as the damaged voyage is limping in the final last little bit to the port of Gundabad on the island of Gundarloon.
So how far out are we from?
Just a couple hours, you're basically right there.
Okay. The couple hours, we could probably see land at this point.
Totally. Yep, you can absolutely see the island.
I think Balazar would probably just be at the rail, watching.
Emerging from the salty mist that hangs over the ocean is the rocky island nation of Gundarloon. Piercing the sea spray on the eastern peninsula is a crumbling fortress which overlooks Gundabad, the island's only port. As you guys are on deck, the young lad walked back up with a little help from Chandri. And somebody roll a d4 for me.
I got you.
Dibs. Okay.
And walked up to Leah. And the young kid says, "Thank you for rescuing me."
Our pleasure. Does the kid look injured?
The kid looks pretty worse for wear. He doesn't look like he's had any major injuries per se, or at least none that are on him here. But it looks like he's been,
Malnourished and fatigued.
yeah, kind of not well taken care of for some amount of days, you would speculate. So he looks a little bit thin, a little bit haggard. Kind of, exhausted. So not really injured so much as he hasn't been taken very good care of for some amount of time.
Okay. Well, I would offer him some of the fish that I have, if he's hungry.
He politely declines. He goes, "I don't know if I'm ever going to eat fish again, but thank you."
That's fair.
Chandri was nice enough to give me some terrible hardtack down below, and hopefully that'll tide me over till we get into harbor.
You're gonna take hardtack over fish? You're crazy.
I mean, if you had been in the care of Sahagwin for X amount of days, you might never eat fish again, too.
It's better than sawdust.
Eh? To be fair, it's only 2-day-old hardtack. It's probably not that bad. Well, 5-day-old hardtack.
It's still hardtack.
Love me some hardtack.
So, how did you find yourself stranded?
Well, I live in Gunderloon, on the far side of the island, in a small fishing village. In the name of the place that the DM is going to remember in a moment, in a small fishing village called Fiskbach. And my mom and my father and I, we make our living as fishermen, and it's maybe I kind of lost track of the time over the last few days, but about 2 or 3 10-day ago, there was a crash and this wreckage near our village, and people started disappearing. And then one day, when we were out on our small fishing boat, my mother and my father and I, the fishmen attacked us, and then I woke up with them, and I don't know where my mother and my father are. That was, I don't know how many days ago. And then here you are. The last few days have been kind of a blur, to be honest. I really don't remember very much.
Well, I believe we're going to be going ashore to investigate what's been going on in this area. Would you like to come with us, and perhaps if our adventures lead us to the other side of the island, we can help escort you there?
That would be great. I hope my parents made it out okay. I would love to return home and just, be done with this whole ordeal.
How familiar are you with the island as a whole?
Somewhat. I've lived here my whole life. It's not that big of a place. Mostly I stay in Fiskbuk and our village, but occasionally we go to the Jarl's Hold for holidays and feasts, and I've been to Gunbarg a couple of times when we had reason to. So reasonably familiar, I would say.
Well, perhaps you can act as our guide.
He looks perks up a little, and he goes, "Oh, sure, I can do that." And he kind of stands by Leah's side as the ship limps its way into the harbor.
He probably picked the most outgoing and friendly of the group, which is probably a good thing. Yeah.
The dice never lie. They chose wisely.
Balazar would have tried, but he wouldn't have been nearly as effective as Leah.
There, young man. Pat.
Your parents
Your
are
parents
most
are
like
dead.
your parents are most likely being dead. I am sorry.
How big is the boat that we're on?
We'll get you new parents.
80 feet by 15 feet.
Okay.
So it's about the size of a sloop,
It's classified as a caravel.
which means it's Portuguese.
Yes.
It make-
Neverwinter, aka Lisbon.
Yep.
All right. Well, I guess we'll
So
pack up everything and start going ashore once we get into dock.
So it's late in morning. The ship, damaged sails and all, limps into the harbor of Gundbarg. The tide is wrong to actually get to the docks itself. So the crew is going to wait for the tide to ride into the actual dock. So they anchor in the harbor. But in the meantime, they splash down the ship's 2 rowboats. And the 4 of you and Burn and the guy whose name I'm always forgetting, Kara and Chandri and Captain Graysail and Store jump into the rowboats and row toward the dock, where you see it looks like a group of 4 or 5 people on the dock waiting for you, you would presume, because that's where you're going. And as the rowboats work their way into the harbor, you kind of get a better look at the port town. It's definitely not very big. The harbor is surrounded by high stone walls, and docked at either anchored in the harbor or at the various docks are a dozen or so long ships, and each of the long ships is in excellent condition. They all have a animal head or a seabird or some kind of Arctic or magical creature head carved into the bow. And you can see gentlemen and ladies that look similar to Store, repairing or maintaining these dozen or so longships that are lying about or docked in the harbor. The 2 rowboats pull up to one of the docks, and there's a younger woman with fair hair and red robes, with 2 other warriors behind her. As you guys work your way onto the dock, she steps forward and says, "Welcome to Gundbarg. King Red Axe has been eagerly awaiting your arrival. I'm sure you must be tired and hungry from your journey. Your room is, of course, taken care of, as is your food. You are all booked at the Dragon Turtle Inn. So feel free to enjoy the city and rest. And tomorrow, after you've had some food and some chance to recover, King Red Axe would be welcome to receive you at Stone Rise Keep."
I'm going to message you a question on Discord, Brian.
Okay.
My thanks. We'll get settled in. Is there a time that we should meet with the king?
Well, the king does enjoy a late breakfast if you would like to join him. A few hours before midday would be just fine.
A few hours before midday.
And she kind of walks with you guys down the dock, points to the Dragon Turtle Inn, which is just outside the dock. And she says, "We will see you tomorrow. I hope you enjoy the hospitality of the city. The weather has been so fair lately, as it's snow trickling down from above, and you guys are all kind of frozen and wet." Captain Graysail turns to the group of you, and she says, "Well, thanks for the help on the journey. We got here safely, so that's what matters, I suppose. She says, I need to go to Gimlet's and to get the ship repaired. So I'll be around for however long that takes, and for me to hopefully get some kind of profitable enterprise for my departure. But if I'm still here when you guys need passage, consider it on the house. Just hit me up, and may our paths cross again. And she offers to shake each of your hands.
I would shake her hand and tell her thank you and wish her safe travels in the future.
Baldrum would shake their hand, but communicate with his eyes that he doesn't like them.
I would just shake her hand like a normal handshake between two people leaving.
Like a normal person.
Yep.
Baldrum hasn't forgiven her.
She departs, walking on the road to the northwest. So you guys are all currently...
Balazar would have extended his hand for a handshake, but got stood up and just kind of looks dejected.
I would reach out and shake Balazar's hand after that.
Baldrum just starts walking to the tavern.
If Max does that, Balazar would just give him a "What the fuck are you doing?" look.
Baldrum has no time for this.
This is nonsense. You know who Baldrum is? He's God, why am I blanking on the name? He's Worf, but in like D&D Pirates.
He's who?
Worf.
He's Worf from Star Trek. D&D Pirates.
Baldrum is a deeply emotional man.
So is Worf.
That's fair. I don't know my Star Trek as well as you folks, I think.
Well, if you ever decide to watch it, you're going to watch it and be like, oh my god, this Worf is just like Baldrum.
They copied him.
Cool, he's a lawyer.
I think before going into the tavern, Balazar is just going to walk around the city, trying to take in the people and the culture here, because I imagine it's different than anywhere he's ever been.
That would be very, very true.
And he's also going to want to see what shops or potential landmarks there are, even if he can't identify what it is. Like some like if there's like a temple or something like that, that's gonna stand out and look unique. So he may not know who it's a temple to, but like, hey, that's probably a temple to someone or something.
Sure. So as you kind of take in the town, because it is definitely not a city.
Yeah.
The most noticeable landmark is absolutely Stonerise Keep. It guards the harbor. It's set.
Would have seen that on the way in.
Everything else, you saw it on the way in. It dominates the harbor. It dominates the town.
And is this a lighthouse over here?
That would be a lighthouse / guard tower. Yeah.
Okay.
The Dragon Turtle Inn that you're in front of is a fairly maybe not a stout building, I guess would be the best way to describe it. It's a very well constructed stone building, 2 stories, fairly large.
So are these kind of like old Norse buildings where
that's exactly what you
like the top of the building looks like an upside down ship hull, because that's basically what it was.
Well, some of one building in particular, although you couldn't see it from here, but when you get there, is absolutely made out of an upside down ship hull. There's one up here.
Yeah.
Probably the next most obvious or noticeable structure that stands out is this here, and it's a dry dock facility.
Okay, yeah.
But other than that, they're mostly stone buildings, obviously intended to be durable for the winters and cold weather. You know, this island is far from removed from anything. The people need to be resilient and self-sufficient, and so the island reflects that. It's very people walking around in lairs and kind of Vikings-ish, Game of Thrones, the Northmen, the Starks, that kind of area. That's kind of the feel you get off of people, how they dress, and the overall cultural personality, I guess, would be the best way to word that.
One thing that Balazar would also do is use prestidigitation to make his robes around his chest area warm and his pants also warm so that he's not as cold. Because you can do that with prestidigitation.
Absolutely.
I think Baldrum is similarly to Balazar, trying to take in parts of the city, but he's doing it on like a small scale. So he's just hanging out in the tavern, trying to hear like local rumors, local happenings, just like what do people in this town talk about?
All right. Do we want to look into the inn first, or do we want to walk around the village first?
I think Baldrum would go right there. I think Balazar would probably be walking around if we want to do that first. I think is what Aaron had said.
Sure.
Yeah.
So who's going with who?
I
Split
would be
the party
walking.
level 2. Nothing bad could happen.
Of course not.
I would have asked Balazar if he wanted me to go with him or not.
If you are liking to, you can. It is not required.
Leah would go to the tavern.
Burn seems pretty intent to stay by Leah's side. He's a little too clingy, to be honest.
Oh,
Leah doesn't mind.
yeah. I think Baldrum's just looking for like, if there's everyone like, oh, we're talking about that new place that just opened up, or hey, isn't there that weird thing going on at that one place? So that's Baldrum's gig while they're going around town.
So let's do the walk around town first. So we have Balazar. Why do you guys always pick names that start so similar? This is going to be Bastion all over again.
It wasn't
Brass
deliberate.
Run.
Not similar names.
God, they both begin with B-A-L, okay?
Ratskin.
Yep.
Brathston.
Yep.
So Balazar
Balazar.
and Mac are making their way through the
Baladrum. Ooh, there we go.
town of Gundbarg. Which way are you going
Baladrums
to
are.
go? As you're currently in front of the
I like
dragon.
Baladrum.
Let's see.
I would be letting Balazar lead.
Left.
Everyone's-
I
Left.
would do.
West.
I would go this way, and then this way.
Small town,
This
only 40 feet over there.
Yeah, I'd do that, and then I would probably go like this,
Okay.
and like this, and then back to the tavern.
I can't watch Drake.
So, walking through the town, most of the buildings are either residences. Close to the harbor, you're going to get businesses that relate to trading, so storehouses. There's a lot of industries with regards to fishing is obviously a big part of what they do. So there's fisheries and places to dry and salt fish. You see a couple, although not too many, places that are involved in like skinning, tanneries, pelts, things of that nature.
Okay.
The further you get away from the docks, it's more residences. They don't seem to have a lot that you would consider to be touristy / adventure-y, right? There's not a lot. You don't see a bunch of taverns.
Sure.
There's not a bunch of restaurants or whatever, anything like that.
It's probably just the Dragon Turtle Inn.
Well, so far, you do find as you go by the dry dock, and at some point as you guys are moving around the city, you can see the tide is coming in, and you kind of see the voyage making its way toward there. So you imagine that's where Captain Greysail is going to get her ship.
Oh, she's gonna have to dry dock it to repair it. Wow.
No, but that's just where the repair facilities are.
Okay.
They don't have to dry dock it to repair it, but that is where the repair facilities are.
Okay. If you need dry dock repairs, your ship took a fucking beating.
Nope. Mostly in the sails, they're going to do a complete re-rig.
Okay.
Yeah.
While we're walking around, I would be keeping an ear out for anything interesting that people are saying.
Okay. Are you just listening, or are you talking to people?
Just listening.
All right.
Unless I hear something really exciting.
Nothing
Balazar is looking around like he is trying to take in everything. He looks like a tourist.
He absolutely does. The town has a wide variety of mostly humans, but there are others, gnomes and dwarfs, halflings scattered in. But even those are, you can tell, likely all locals. You guys definitely stand out culturally in your dress and common accent and how you present yourself. There's probably haven't had too many Dragonborns here, so Balazar in particular would stand out a little bit.
I think Dragonborn in general are pretty rare.
Not too
along
many,
with
not one of the more
Swordghost.
common ones, right? But in the bigger cities, it's just not going to draw the same eyes as.
Sure. Like you'll see one from time to time in the big cities,
Yeah.
but out here you'd never. In fact, they've probably never seen one before.
As you get to the outskirts here, it's kind of farms with hardy crops, as well as some like ranching as far as like sheep, that kind of thing. The kind of hardier crops and herd animals are kept on the outskirts of the town. Let me find. Where is it? Nope. As you work your way around kind of the backside over here, you get to where you see there is a what looks to be the skeleton of an old ship turned upside down, and most of the ship has rotted away, and in the places where there's rotted away, they've taken like the cloth for like sails, really thick ones, and they've just put multiple layers over it to kind of patch the ship. And now it looks to be a tavern. It's on the busier side. Even though it's early in the day, you get a little bit loud in there. Looks to be like a little bit of a more raucous clientele. And you can also see on the back it has two of its own, in very poor condition, docks back there. And as you work your way back towards this way, there's a large building that has a sign on it called the Saltwood Storehouse, which you get is kind of like the general store, if you will.
Okay.
Oh, you know what? We're not on a ship anymore. We could. Yeah, it still kind of works though.
Yeah, we can hear the ships rocking out in the harbor.
Yeah. I think.
And are we getting any unfriendly looks from people? We're probably getting inquisitive or strange looks, but are we getting
nobody
any
seems
unfriendly
unfriendly. A little bit curious, but nobody seems unfriendly. They mostly seem to be kind of doing their own thing. The weather for them is mild right now, even though it's cold for you. So there's actually a fair number of people moving around. You feel like they want to take advantage of the quotey fingers mild weather.
Sure.
All right, so as Max and Balazar are making their way on their grand tour of the tourist gem of Gundbarg, the Baldrum and Leah find themselves in the Dragon Turtle Inn. And let me do something here real quick. It's not too crowded, as it is right around midday by the time you guys make your way in there, rowing through the harbor. And let me get to that thing there. The Dragon Turtle Inn is a salt-encrusted stone edifice near the docks. Although not outwardly inviting, the inn is well known amongst travelers as the best place to get good ale on the island. Inside, there is a large fire in a semicircular hearth decorated with ivory and steel. A circular bar in the middle of the inn is managed by a pair of lanky, fair-haired twins whose bushy beards sweep the counters as they pour their drinks.
So this is a bar in the center here.
Correct.
Baldrum would probably, there's not that many people in here, I guess, so Baldrum would probably just sit at the bar and ask the bartenders just about, the local goings on. He's kind of looking for like a newspaper of just like a local, what's going on in the area, what are people talking about,
Sure.
like
Sure,
almost tabloidy, like what do people here care about and what's going on?
Absolutely. Well, I mean, the bar is the place to do that, right?
Yeah.
All right, hold on a minute here, Leah. Oh, hey, the auras are working now, so that's cool.
Let's go.
Yeah, huzzah! Let's see, Leah and Baldrum and Burn. Go. So it is. Like I said, it's not very busy in here. So both of the bartenders, the twins as they were, Horthon and Manser, work their way over. They're very friendly, very talkative, eager to provide any and any information they can. And you guys all do have rooms they confirm kind of through the course of your conversation. There are 4 rooms available. They really didn't provide anything for Burn. He was a little bit of an unexpected bonus, I guess. And they're kind of an odd pair to talk to because they keep kind of interrupting each other and finishing each other's sentences. So the first thing they'll bring up after confirming that your rooms are available. Is there anything in particular you're asking about, or how is it that you're bringing this conversation up, I suppose?
I'm trying to think about how Baldwin would do it. Baldwin would probably just walk up and say something that's like, "Good tides, I'm new in town. I was hoping to get some idea of the local goings-on, political rumors, things of that nature. Is there some type of newspaper or similar medium I could acquire?"
They both give you a weird look, like paper. I don't no, but and they kind of as they about alternate off every few words. It's really actually off-putting at first. You feel like you're talking to one person in two.
This would annoy Baldrum.
I imagine it would probably annoy a lot of people. There's no paper to speak of. We all just kind of keep track of the news for ourselves. Yeah, keep track of the news for ourselves. Politics, political rumors. No, we don't have any of that trouble here. The Red Axes have been running Gunbarg and Gunderlund for as long as I've been alive. Yeah, as long as I've been alive. King Red Axe is good. He's really good for the island. Fair taxes. Yeah, he doesn't overtax us at all. Very fair, very fair. Business is as prosperous as it's been here in a long time. We sell lots of fish to locals, and a lot of the merchants have... I said merchants already. Merchants have come in to pick up their fish here, and we stock their ships. Really, we've got no complaints as far as I'm concerned with King Red Axe. And the King's Fleet's in excellent shape as well. Really the pride of Gunderloon.
Can I make an insight check to see if this is like... Do they think is this like a general opinion? Like, is everything here just good, or are they just particularly either ignorant to problems or optimistic?
Make an insight or an investigation check. We'll say this will be kind of over the course of the day. You're kind of keeping a feel out for this. Yeah. Well, you're not sure. You.
Baldrum gets too annoyed to pay attention.
Yeah. You don't hear anybody speak ill of King Red Axe, I would say.
Throughout the day of just talking to people, Baldrum just like does not get any information because as soon as like he doesn't get anything, he's just like moves on. Not my best skill.
I would when I heard them talking about buying and selling fish, I would ask if they'd be willing to, if they'd be interested in purchasing some of the fish I had caught while we were on the ship.
Well, we have our regular supplier. We kind of buy in bulk. Yeah, we buy in bulk. We have a lot of customers here. We're the premier tavern here in Gunbarg, don't you know? Premier tavern. You notice they're both cleaning the same spot on the bar.
Do these two share a brain?
One's doing wax on while the other one's doing wax off.
They each have one half of a brain.
I think they share a brain.
So they're telling me they're not interested.
That's correct, yeah.
Okay.
And is this this is like a cellar? I'm assuming.
No, second floor to where the rooms are.
Then what is this?
Oh, I'm sorry. No, you're right. This is the second floor to where the rooms are. This would be like a cellar. That's
okay.
correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Baldwin would eventually, maybe he'd probably spend an hour and a half down here, and then he'd go upstairs and just pout in his room. about how there's no newspaper, so he actually had to talk to people, and it didn't work out.
They do tell you when dinner will be served later on in the day. Where does it say? Each of the rooms has its own small fireplace to fight off the cold. Soft beds that have like layers upon layers of you can tell worn furs, but also well maintained. The twins, for all their annoyances, do seem to take pride in their facilities here. And as soon as I find, I'll tell you, Thomas, the number one problem with starting a new thing is I lose track of where I've organized all of my little tabs over here. I need to re
Especially if it's a module and it comes in, it comes as like a
right. All right.
It always comes organized in a way that I hate.
This one doesn't, so it's all me, but I'm not quite as familiar with it yet. So
I hate the way it's organized. I'll be like, characters are all here, but these characters are over here, and I'm just like, I hate you. Why'd you do this to me?
So you guys can go up to your rooms for a little bit. Leah, is there anything you want to do in the interim between now and dinner?
Yeah, so I would invite Byrne to come stay in my room if he wanted a place to stay.
He would happily crash on the floor. He says the furs are more soft than what he's used to.
Okay, and then you would just I would take the bundle out of the backpack container that I normally wear, and I would probably just relax on the bed with the bundle sitting somewhere, like maybe near me, or maybe in between my legs or something, while I was I'd work on I'd be doing stitching and working with some of the leather that I had gotten from all the fish. So I would just spend however many hours just leather working.
All right. He also actually he's fairly knowledgeable about the fish. So he would actually give you some tips on how to handle the fish, because it's obvious you're fairly new at it, and it's what he's done with his family for a long time. So you actually pick up a fair amount about how to clean the fish after catching them. And he gives you tips on drying them if you want to, or different ways to cook them. He's actually very, very knowledgeable with fish. His family's been fishermen for a long time.
Cool. So yeah, I'd accept his help.
Shut up, kid. I know how to do this.
I know how to skin a fish. He's like, no, you definitely don't.
First, it's called scaling the fish, not skinning it.
Max and Balazar, after a few hours of walking around town, you work your way into the Dragon Turtle Inn. It's a couple hours into the afternoon by the time you guys get there. Find a couple of young men, probably in their late 20s, with already thinning hair on top, and both have these kind of disheveled, long red beards. Twins manning the bar on the inside as you walk in. A few more guests than when your counterparts were here, as it's filling up toward the end of the day. And they welcome you as you come into the inn.
I'd walk up and say, "Hi, I think we have a room booked here. There've been two others here with us, short, grumpy dwarf and then an elf."
Yes, they've already shown to their rooms. Oh yes, at the king's account that's paid for it. What are you guys doing in town? The dwarf wasn't too forthcoming. Kept asking about newspapers and politics. What a weird line of questioning. Not very friendly. No, not very friendly at all.
I agree. He's not. That's what we're doing in town. I don't remember. What are we doing here, Balazar?
We are to be investigating the area. Disturbances have been happening.
Oh, right,
Oh,
right. Yeah, that.
You must be referring to the crash. Oh, the crash over near Fiskerbark. Yeah, Fisterback.
Do you guys happen to know anything about the crash over there?
Well, yeah, it was big news. Not a lot happens here with regards to that. Shipwreck, sure, but you don't hear about things falling from the sky. That never happens. And then the other guy goes, Jarl Frostgale, he's furious about the whole
immediately.
thing. Okay, go ahead.
Immediate insight check.
Hate to say this, but my mic cut out or headset cut out, so I didn't hear any of that after I asked about the crash.
They said that shipwrecks are semi-common, but they don't have craft falling out of the sky very often.
I would also insight check to see if they're telling the truth about something falling out of the sky.
That's a 6.
That's a 12.
They don't seem deceptive at all. They seem very open as far as you can tell. They also tell you how angry Jarl Frostgale is because nobody has come up there. It's taken 10 days. He's lost some fishermen. He's very angry about the whole deal.
So you said it came out of the sky?
Well, I didn't say it came out of the sky. No, I said it came out of the sky. I heard it came out of the sky, though. But that doesn't make any sense. How would a ship come out of the sky? It's probably just, those backwater fishermen making things up. Nobody really saw anything.
Well, there was this one mage in Kuros that made a ship fly. Maybe across dimensions over here.
I wouldn't put it past them.
Boy, that would be a cool establishment of the multiverse, wouldn't it?
Yeah. I don't think I've ever heard of a ship flying either. Have you, Balazar?
Have I heard of a ship flying, Brian?
What proficiencies do you have?
Arcana, History, Investigation, and Perception. And my dragon chest set.
What a great question.
I speak Common, Draconic, and Primordial.
Let's see. Let me check something.
I also have proficiency with a sling, a light crossbow, a quarterstaff, a dart, and a dagger.
I really like how much 5e pared down the proficiencies. Having said that, 3rd edition had a bunch more knowledge type proficiencies, and some of these are kind of vague-ish, and the ones in 3rd edition were not vague-ish, and this is one of the times where I miss those. Let's make an... If you're proficient in Arcana, go ahead and make an Arcana proficiency check.
I rolled a 2.
You never heard of flying fish, or flying ships, for that matter.
This is something that is not existing.
I thought so too. How in the world would a ship fly? Doesn't make any sense at all.
Maybe a giant threw it? They could fly for a little bit.
They both kind of look at each other like they hadn't considered that.
I'm also gonna look, but I'm gonna look at Max and be like, with like that, and are you stupid? Look.
I'm gonna talk to Balazar and Draconic and say, I was just joking.
All right, so I can only imagine
always.
a fake dragonborn smile would actually look like he's going to murder you. I can just imagine that.
Probably true. Yeah. I mean, any dragonborn smile is probably not going to be very friendly looking.
Have I seen you smile or fake smile that much since we've been together? I'd be
So
scared at this point.
We'll fast forward. Do you guys want to do anything between now and when dinner is served, or you're just going to kind of come down for dinner and then go to the next day?
I didn't see anything around town that would look like a place that would have books.
The closest thing you think of would maybe be the general store. You would think probably in a town like this, not likely that they would have them. But if some place were to have them, maybe they would, and maybe they could point you in the right direction, even if they don't have them. There's nothing that jumped out at you.
I would go to the general store and see if they had a book on ships and types of ships and all of that stuff. Just everything there is to know about ships.
All right. Max, you gonna go with him?
Yeah, I'd go with him.
All right. Let's see here. That would be her. Uno momento.
Do each of us get our own rooms, or is it
Yes,
2 rooms?
There are 4 rooms, yeah. And each room is fairly small, but well appointed, or at least as well appointed as you think it would be. I said each has its own fireplace and a fairly large, comfortable bed, as well as clean water. The facilities are shared for whatever it's worth.
Hey, are they side by side?
The rooms?
Yeah, our rooms.
Yeah, the rooms are all pretty close to each other.
Okay. I'm going to be casting an alarm before we go to sleep, just letting you know.
All right, good to know.
Thomas is no longer in roll 20.
Thomas, no!
I should be. I'll try
Yeah.
refreshing.
You're not. You've dropped.
Well, now I'm just looking at a black screen.
Thomas,
Ah,
no.
Baldrum got assassinated already.
Now it's a gray screen.
Don't worry, I revived you, Baldrum. Now you owe me your life.
It's weird. I'm just looking at a black screen.
All right, so you work your way into, or back around town. Balazar and
think
Max to the Saltwood Storehouse, as the sign proclaims on the outside. It's a pretty large building. And as you walk in, you see kind of rows upon rows of shelves and benches and tables that have all kinds of stuff in there. You imagine this place is kind of the one-stop shop for anybody who's in town. Not too many people in there, a handful. Yeah.
I would go up to the clerk and say,
I am looking for books explaining ships.
Oh, well, we do have some books, and he kind of points off to one side, and you see basically like one shelf with like a smattering of books over there. And I don't know if there's specifically a book on ships there. Not too much of a need for that here. Most of us are pretty familiar with ships already, but you're welcome to take a look.
I will be looking. Thank you.
I will go look and see what books they have.
You do notice on the where is it? On the counter, there's a wooden sign that has written on it, "Potions of water breathing available. Just ask."
I would go up and like, so how much are those potions of water breathing you got there?
He says, "Oh, well, you'd have to talk to old Granny about those. She's in the back. I can take her to see her if you'd like."
Oh, that'd be great if you could, please.
Balance, make an investigation check while you're looking for your book over there.
That's a thing I do okay. 25.
You shockingly find a book, like it's like a Dummy's Guide to Ships and Navigation.
Okay, what other books do I find?
A wizard's book that has Fireball, Call
I know, right?
Lightning, Storm of Vengeance, Gate Wish. Wizard's book of everything.
You find a book entitled "Memorable Crossings of the Road, Rumors and Reports," "Tantalizing Menus, the Cuisine of the Sea," "Redhorn, the Book of Necromancy," "Truthful Erudition on the History of Dwarves," and "Marvelous Fare, Secrets of Health Revealed."
I want the one on the dwarves. I want the one on the ships. And I want the one on necromancy.
All right.
How much would that run me?
2 gold pieces for the 3 of them.
I will spend it.
All right. While you are looking through the books, Max, the store employee, takes you through this back door to, there's like a secondary storeroom, and it looks like in here is where the stuff that they, like more bulk type stuff that they would sell to ships, like rations, repair materials, like just big containers of things of that nature. And then he takes you back here to another door. Yeah, one moment. Oops, that's not what I wanted.
While I was here, I would also sell the conch for 10 gold. The conch horn.
They will definitely buy that for 10 gold.
Okay.
He opens the door for you and he goes, "Go talk to Granny inside. She'll get you set up for the water breathing potions if you'd like."
All right, thank you very much. Does she have a name besides Granny? Or should I just call her Granny?
Everyone here just calls her Granny, and he kind of walks away.
Can I insight check him?
Sure.
I'm kind of nervous about meeting her with.
He seems like everybody calls her Granny.
Hello there, Granny. I heard you're the person to talk to about getting some water breathing potions.
As you walk into the room, a few things you notice. The room is warmed by a smoldering fire that you can see across. And there, sitting in a rocking chair, is a woman who looks to be ancient, extraordinarily wrinkled, weather-beaten skin, greasy hair. Time has not been kind to her. She is not an attractive woman, is what I would say. Oddly, as you walk in, there's like an inch of ice cold water across the entire room of the floor, but it doesn't seem to spill out into the next room when you open and close the door as you come in. And then playing around her feet, which are wrapped in thick furs, are a half dozen creatures about the size of like a pug. They have the head and forepaws of a cat and the lower body and tail of a fish. The room smells incredibly fishy. It's very unpleasant, and it's also humid. In addition to being colder than the rest of the storehouse.
Something smells a little fishy in here. Can't put my tongue on.
She says, "Ah, welcome, welcome. I'm Granny, Saltwood, and you are a young man."
Ah, my name's Maximilian Woods. Nice to meet you. I'll reach out my hand to shake hers.
She kind of, how like the grandma will kind of grab your hand with both.
Yeah.
Her hand is very cold, very clammy to the touch. She's so nice to meet you, young man. And she kind of reaches up and like touches your face, her hand cold and wet to the touch. And she kind of like takes you arm in arm and she walks towards the fire. What can Granny do for you?
Ah, I heard that you're the. Go ahead.
Kind of the little creatures are like flopping behind you, kind of making half cat mewing noises as they flop around.
I'm a little nervous in this situation, but awkward. I'll say, I heard you're the one to talk to about maybe getting some water breathing potions. I don't know if we'll need them, but I'd like to have them in case we do.
Oh, sure. I can certainly get those. They do require 1 day to prepare each. And I normally charge 50 gold pieces per potion, but I'm out of one of the ingredients now. So if you would go retrieve it for me, I would do it at half price for you.
Ah, what ingredient would that be?
It's a plant that grows in the ocean. It's a kind of seaweed. It's brown and stringy. It's called the Dead Man's Bootlaces. And she kind of, still arm in arm, walks you over to this table. And on the table, she has like a number of glass jars, like filled with like a kind of foggy salt water, and has like just like a variety of like different sea plants in bottles all across the table there. And she kind of gets real close, like she's not wearing her glasses, kind of, and squints at each one and kind of slowly works her way through the glass bottles. She goes, here this is a sample. Take a good look so you know what you're looking for.
All right. And how much of this will I need to get to you to make multiple potions?
Oh, just get as much as you can. There's a small cave outside of town where they grow. It's much too dangerous of a journey for an old lady like me, but a young man like you should have no problem. Just be aware of the tide coming in and out of the cave. Get as much as you can, bring it back, and I will be happy to brew as many potions for you as you would like.
All right. I'll have to talk to my comrades about that, but we'll probably take you up on that half price, right, with the ingredient.
Half price with the ingredients, yes.
Well, it was lovely to meet you, lady. Or Granny. I'll bend over and kind of give her like a small kiss on the cheek, and then...
Oh, what a nice young man.
If you need anything else while I'm here, just let me know. I'll see what I can do.
She kind of bends down and picks up one of the little cat fish things. And she starts petting it, and you can hear it kind of... Of course. You just let Granny know if you need anything. So nice to meet you.
It was a pleasure to meet you, too. And I will kind of walk out here, open up the door, and kind of quickly go through, and then kind of come over to the cycle and breathe heavy for a little bit.
You notice
Really
the water does not leave that room. The fish smell seems to not leave that room. And it's a little bit warmer out here, not quite as cold, even though there's a fire in the other room. It's also not as humid.
Now, is there anything in this room that I can steal? No.
Probably. And as you come back, you can see Balazar buying books and selling the conch at the counter with one of the proprietors of the Saltwood Storehouse.
Walk through. Ah, Balazar, did you get what you needed?
I am getting some of what I needed, yes.
Good. I'll
And
walk
you?
around to the side. Got some information about making some water breathing potions. I don't know if we'll need them, but if we have to get an ingredient for her that she's out of, if we do, then she'll make some for us. At
What
10 pounds.
ingredient is she needing?
It's called Deadman's Bootlace.
Does that, to my mind, track accurately as to what would be needed to make one of those?
You have proficiency in nature.
No, but I'm a wizard.
I do. I have
Make
Sorry.
Make a nature check, or if you have any kind of proficiency in potion brewing, anything like that, that would make
Herbalism
sense.
kit.
Would Arcana qualify?
I don't know if Arcana would qualify for potion brewing with natural ingredients.
Would an herbalism kit work?
Kind of similar, yeah. If you have an herbalism kit and proficiency in nature, I would give you advantage on the check.
All right. Do you want me to roll nature or herbalism kit then?
You can roll a nature, but give it advantage.
20.
That tracks. Yeah, that from what you know, your knowledge of potion brewing and plants, that what she's asking for makes sense.
It is an ingredient for the potions. She said that they could be found in a cave off the shore here, pretty close by.
And the kind of the guy who's standing there who works at the storehouse house says, "Oh yeah, Gallows Grotto, just outside of town."
Ah, yes, that place. Is there anything we have to do to get there, or can we just go there and get what we need and come back?
Oh well, it is just outside of town. It's a little bit of a treacherous trek to actually get to the cave. It's located at water level. You'll want to go low tide if possible, otherwise the cave could fill. Once you get, I've never been there myself, because it is I said it's kind of hazardous to get down there. It's about an hour's walk from town.
Why is it being called Gallows Grotto?
One moment. Oh, where is it?
I would also tell Balazar about the water, how it only stays in that room, the creatures,
Sure.
all that stuff.
Would that give me any insight as to anything about her? Because Aaron's going, she's a fucking hag, and Balazar probably may be doing that and maybe not. I'm not sure.
I would let you make an Arcana check, but at disadvantage based on your backstory.
12.
You remember reading in a book before you arrived in Neverwinter about sea hags, and you're not sure, but it does check some boxes.
There's some parallels, yeah.
Yeah. Second here.
Seems like a pretty nice lady, though.
When you ask why is it called Gallows Grottos, he responded, "Well, it's just a story. I don't know if it's true. But the story goes a long time ago, a man died in there, hanged by his neck from rigging rope and a driftwood beam. There's a lot of stories about that place, but supposedly this is the true one."
He is hanged why?
Well, the story goes, decades ago, when my parents were children, a woman arrived here in Gunbarg from somewhere far across the sea. She was just a beautiful woman, the stories say, and all eyes turned to her. Some claim that she was a child of the ocean gods. She was just so beautiful. Well, her beauty, it created a problem, and all of the men of the town started, oh, I don't know what the word is. I would say getting restless at her presence. Just men couldn't keep her eyes off of her, and the married men too. And one day, a man decided to try his luck with the lady. They spent the night drinking way too much at the old Dragon Turtle Inn. That's back before the twins ran the place. And she led them away to where she was staying. And he came back the next day filled with all kinds of stories of the night before. And pretty soon, all of Gunbarg knew, but the man was one of the married men. And, well, the folk didn't take too kind to the woman being with a married man, so I'm sorry to say they keel-hauled her. And the next morning, the man was missing, and the story goes that he hanged himself in Gallows Grotto.
What is it to keel haul?
You must not be from round here, I take it.
What is giving that away?
He kind of looks around at everything.
Yes,
Everything is giving that away.
it is being a joke.
Oh, you don't have a real joking manner, you know?
It is being a joke.
He looks a little sheepish as he starts to explain to you, and he goes, "Well, you know, we don't do this really much anymore. This was a long time ago, you see, and things were a bit different then. But keel hauling was it's a
You don't have to go into it. I know what it is.
It's a way of executing somebody, and then he explains what keel hauling is. And
were they? Does he explain that they keel hauled her from? Was it from bow to stern or port to starboard?
he says, well, it's just a legend. I don't really know the details of how they did it. He seems a little uncomfortable.
Because they can do it both ways, and one way you're a lot more likely to survive than the other. Both ways you're probably going to die, though.
So anyway, that's I guess I owe you 7 gold pieces, right?
He owes us 7 gold pieces?
Well, yeah, he's buying the conch for 10, and you're buying the books for 5, so he owes you 7, or for 3, so he owes you 7 gold pieces.
Yep.
Last question. What was her name?
The woman? Oh, I don't know. It's a legend. I don't know if I ever got the name.
Who knows this legend better than you?
Oh, I don't know. It's a local legend. I'm sure if you ask any of the locals, most of them will know the story of the beautiful woman in Gallows Grotto.
Who is most likely to know?
I don't know. I suppose Granny. She's probably the oldest woman in town. You could ask her.
She isn't back, yes?
Yeah, Max can show you. She's through the door and through the door.
Well, Marcus said he would be right back, but he can hear. I imagine he would go with me. And
I don't know. You can type, Marcus. Are you gonna show him back there, or actually go with him back there?
I don't know if he can type. He might just be listening.
I think he got up to go do something and has a wireless headset.
Well, excellent. While we're waiting for him to figure it out, give me 2 seconds because I'm gonna get something to drink, and then we'll do this.
That's a
Good
great
luck.
idea, Brian. I'm feeling thirsty, so good timing.
An early break.
Also, I think I'm hearing some background noise from the music bot that is playing like a talk show or something.
From the music bot?
Mm-hmm.
I don't do that.
Unless it's just ambiance.
I think there's some ambient talking.
Oh yeah, it is.
Yeah, because we're in a tavern.
Well,
Yeah,
you are.
Idiot.
Sure.
I'm not.
Idiot.
You're an idiot, not me.
You are being idiot.
You are being stupid.
It is being idiot.
Did you like the GIF I posted for Baldrum with the eye twitch?
See, Baldrum's a nice guy, okay?
He is very blunt, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he's not nice.
He is nice. And he'll kill you if you say otherwise.
I miss having a high insight.
I've got a decent insight now.
I miss Lucian's insight. Holy shit, his insight was crazy.
Are we all back? Are we all back? Aaron, what's your character's background, by the way?
Background?
Yeah.
Given where he's come from, he's kind of
the selected background that you picked when you made the character.
Yeah, like
or
what
hermit,
does it say under background on your character sheet?
He is a far traveler.
Interesting. All right.
But more specifically, well, I don't think Marcus is back yet, so I will message you.
Sorry about that. I'm back.
Hey, he's back. So Balazar is going to talk to Granny. Are you going to go in there with him, or are you just going to let him go by himself?
I would go in there with him.
All right. You guys walk through the storeroom.
Hello, Granny. Sorry to be bothering you again so soon.
He goes, oh, it's my friend Max, and you brought a friend. Oh, he's so tall. Your
Yes, he's very
skin
tall.
is so textured. What's your name there, young man?
Balazar.
Balazar, welcome. What can Granny do for you?
I am being told a story by Clerk about Hangman's Grotto.
Oh, Gallows Grotto. Yeah, that's where Max is going to get my dead man's bootlaces for me and make your potions.
He is telling me a story of a woman who was beautiful and then died. She was keel-hauled.
When you bring up the that woman, you can see her demeanor instantly shift from like friendly old grandma to like bitter, angry old woman. Goes, oh, that harlot!
What was her name?
What does that matter? I call her that harlot. She kind of walks away from you and starts going to the table again.
I am new to this place. I am wanting to learn of fables and stories here.
Well, let me tell you that story. You shouldn't mess around with married men.
You are not needing to fear this from me.
Does Granny have a ring or anything on that might show me that she's been married or is married?
There's nothing you see like that on her that would indicate that.
Okay.
I want to insight check her reaction. How personal is this to her, is what I'm wanting to know.
Make an insight check.
3, I have no idea.
She seems angry.
Now, insight check to see if when she was saying about her going with married men, if she was talking about her husband as well. She had one.
Mm.
He seems angry. The only thing you need to know about that story is sometimes stories do have happy endings.
What of the man who himself was hung?
Maybe he should have respected his wife.
I really kind of want to insight
That's
check.
fair.
I don't know if I can.
Does his wife still live here?
Oh, as many years ago, Balazar. Max, I don't like your friend. Go get me my bootlaces. And she starts shooing you out the door.
Sorry about this guy. He's just very blunt. He's really a nice person when you get to know him.
Slam.
Interesting.
Wonder if she had a husband. Couldn't really tell by the reading, but she might have. I wonder if that harlot that she says took her husband.
So, in my readings about hags, would I know that a sea hag is something that a human can become, or is a sea hag just a sea hag?
You're not sure. It's not something you've done extensive research on.
Okay.
It's more something you kind of stumbled across when you were reading about something else. So you didn't really pay a lot of attention to it. You just kind of remembered that you offhandedly read some things about it, and you're like, huh, could be.
Okay. Like just a generic fables
Yeah,
type
something
book
like
or
that.
something. Yeah.
All right, you guys done in the storehouse? Are you returning for dinner?
I would,
Yes.
as we're leaving, I would talk to the cook and say, did you know that she would get upset about the mention of that harlot, as she calls it?
Oh, I've never known Granny to be anything but friendly. It's weird. Why'd you guys upset her?
It wasn't on purpose. He was just asking about the woman in that story you were telling. And as soon as he did, she kind of got all angry.
Hmm.
I want to bring
Weird.
her a nice tea or something to calm her down.
That might work. Granny likes her teas.
Also, I would like to ask, do you have any like a healer's kit or first aid kit or anything like that in here?
Basically, you can find in the salt, you can find anything in the player's handbook, kind of general equipment list in here that's worth less than 100 gold pieces.
How much is the healer's kit worth?
I think 10, I want to say.
Does he have a pearl?
Do you want a pearl worth less than 100 gold pieces?
I want a pearl worth exactly 100 gold pieces.
Then he does not.
Okay.
I would get a healer's kit.
Okay, no problem. So when you guys are done in the storehouse, you work your way over to the Dragon Turtle Inn. The ale here is excellent, and your meal is of course paid for. And they serve you some what appears to be freshly baked, very hearty, like black bread with like a very thick fish stew that's a little bit overly salted, with some kind of like potatoes and squashes, kind of hearty type vegetables mixed in. And at mealtime, this place is definitely more crowded than it was during the day.
So we're all there at the table.
Hmm?
I would turn to Baldrum and say,
We were shopping at the general store, and they are having a hag of the sea that makes potions there. She requested we acquire ingredients for her potions from Gallows Cave, I believe.
It was called Gallows Grotto,
Gallows Grotto, yes.
and the item we're getting is a Dead Man's Bootlace.
For to make water-breathing potion. However, there is fable around Dead Man's Grotto, Hangman's Grotto, whatever, that caused a man to kill himself, and the reason for this is a beautiful woman arrived and made all the men lustful adulterers. At the mention of this story to the sea hag who makes the potions, she became irate. Think there is personal investment.
Yeah, I wouldn't mention that the harlot, as she calls it, to that nice old granny in there. She wouldn't be nice anymore.
Hags are vile enough without being personally invested in their atrocities.
Also, did you get any information, Bally? Oh wait, I call you Bally and him Bally. How do I know you two apart?
Do not call me Bally.
Do not
Bally.
call me Bally.
You're Balazar. You're Bally Drum?
Baldrum. His name.
He's Balazar.
Both names are really long. I like to shorten them. Both start with B-A-L. How do I...
A conundrum.
Like I'm a DM or something trying to say both of your names. Can you guys make them similar?
I'm willing to undertake this venture, I suppose, but we should know right away that we're not working strictly for our own benefits. The hag wants something from us. She has her own ulterior motives.
Well, she needs the potion to make water breathing potions. I don't know if we need them or not. I just thought I'd let you guys know in case we do. I know there's a lot of ocean around here. Also, the twins said something about the flying ship. I don't know if you got anything out of them. But apparently a ship came crashing down. Yeah.
I don't trust hags. I'd like to keep a closer eye on this sea witch. Perhaps the best way to do that would be to curry some favor with her.
Well, Bella's are that in that department. She doesn't like them.
I do not think hags are inherently being evil, though many are.
Either way, I think if we have the opportunity to get this regent, it might be good to earn some favor, and we can use that to keep an eye on her.
The potion is being useful in any case.
Agreed.
It will cost 25 gold per potion after we get the ingredient, and it'll take a day to make each one, from what she said.
This being expensive, I have not very much gold.
As you guys are talking, one of the twins comes over and says, kind of as he brings over new ales and bread. So how's everybody enjoying their town here?
What do you know of the potion brewing hag known as Granny?
He goes, hag, that seems a little harsh. She's just an old woman. I've never had just one really interaction with her. I had a personal ailment. It turns a little red, and she brewed a potion for me, a very reasonable price. Cleared it right up.
What was the price?
This was a few years ago. I don't recall, but I believe she only did it for 2 gold pieces.
Thank you.
Do you know
What
anything?
was your ailment?
What was your
Personal.
ailment?
You want some more ale?
I don't drink.
Just wondering, do you know anything about the Gallows Grotto?
He basically tells you the same story. Slight variants as legends go. They change over time, and maybe one thing slightly different here or there, but functionally tells you the same story.
You happen to know the name of the lady?
Oh, you know what? I think I've heard her assign different names. I don't even know if that thing's true. It could just be legend.
What names?
Well, I've heard one name call her Gilly, and I've heard another name call her Kinna. I don't really know what her name is.
Did this Gilly Kenna ever have any dealings with the Sea Witch?
I don't know. Why do you call her a witch? Seems kind of harsh. You barely know her. She's like a pillar of this community. She
So
really
you know
helped.
her well, then.
Well, no, I've only dealt with her once. But if you ask around, almost everybody knows of Granny Saltwood.
You've been helpful. Thank you. And Baldrum will give him a silver piece.
Oh, thanks. And kind of walks away very confused.
You're reminding me a lot of Judge Dredd right now.
Baldrum's just
then-
a to-the-point guy.
Do you think we'll be needing these water breathing potions? And do we want to go grab the dead man's bootlace to have her make them?
I think that if we acquire these regions, we can hold them as ransom for more information.
Well, in any case, we have prior obligations first.
Agreed.
Anything else you guys want to tackle this evening before we flop over to the next day?
I would ask the boy,
Like you, small boy. You have heard of this story, yes?
So sure. Kind of a legend of the island, you know?
What do you know of the Sea Witch?
Why do you keep calling her a witch? One of the reasons we had to come in town was my mom was having headaches, and she helped make her a potion for us. I would ask around a little bit, though. I think the locals seem to like her.
The locals don't have a newspaper. I think that their opinions on the goings-on of this town are limited in scope.
they cannot be trusted. They don't have a
He
newspaper.
turns to Leah and he goes, What's a newspaper?
Freedom of press is paramount.
My point was not that they are illiterate, but that their goings-on and their knowings of the knowledge of the town are subject to their own personal experience.
Well, people do talk in small towns. They probably just tell each other things. They don't really need a newspaper.
People tell each other things everywhere. Lies, fables, mistruths.
Newspapers also have all that stuff in them.
Get out of here with your logic.
Oh, look at this Balazar. He's speechless. I think I won.
I'm thinking of the mission.
I totally won.
It's not a competition, I am thinking.
Oh, Balazar. I like you.
I wonder if your head is fogged up. That's why you must speak quickly in an attempt to blow it away.
Do you know what it means, Balazar? I think it's an analogy for something, but I just don't get it.
More of an
Yes.
allegory.
Thinking of you as stupid.
Distracted.
Well, I have to be distracted.
Anything
What?
else here in the tavern before we go on to King Red Axe?
Bottom's got
Uh,
nothing else.
I'm just going to cast Alarm on as many rooms as we can before we go to sleep. And I'm going to cast Good Berry, so I have berries in the morning.
All right.
I have to be distracted. What?
I ignore you after that.
I wouldn't. It's probably too late. I'll do it the next day.
All right. Well, we're the next day.
I'm just gonna go try to buy a few javelins if I could.
Absolutely.
How much do javelins cost?
Whatever it is in the player's handbook.
Son of a bitch.
What were the names of the possible names of the witch again, Brian?
Oh, I just closed that out. Gilly and Killa, I believe is what he said.
I buy 4 javelins, Brian.
Okay.
So Gilly and Killa.
Sounds right.
Can I get a handout to take notes in, Brian? Because I'm going to forget these names.
Sure.
You can't give NPCs 2 names, Brian. That's too much.
I actually went and got a notebook. I'm going to take physical notes.
No, I'm not doing that.
Physical notes.
I can't even read my own handwriting.
Should become a doctor then.
That's what that means.
There you go. All right, so you guys have breakfast the next morning. Baldrum makes a quick run to the storehouse to buy some javelins. And then you make your way over to Stone Rise Keep or anything beforehand.
Nothing for me.
Good.
I'm good.
All right. Burn tries to follow you to Sunrise Keep. Are you going to let him follow you?
Yeah.
I guess I would offer everyone a good berry in the morning.
What a nice guy. So the 5 of you go from Dragon Turtle Inn to Stone Rise Keep. It occurs to you that... gosh, where's the name? That Cora, the 5th adventurer who was hired to do this mission, you have not seen him in Dragon Turtle Inn, and he does not arrive at Stone Rise Keep the next day to meet with King Red Axe.
Who?
The 5th guy who is the random adventurer who was also hired to do this mission with you guys, Cora.
Remind me of the name of the place. It's Garrett Grotto? Gallow
It
Grotto?
is Gallows
Gallows.
Grotto. Gallows
Gallows.
Grotto.
Gallows Grotto.
And just making
Gallows
sure,
Grotto.
sure, he was not the one who was throwing and hitting all the sanguine with the crowbars and hammers, was he?
No, that was Store.
Okay, a store with us?
No, he's a local. Like he's one
Oh,
of
okay.
King's guys, basically. He was the guy that carried the message from here to Neverwinter, asking if they send somebody to check this out.
Is there anyone else with us for then?
Was that guy in the battle? I don't even remember him.
Yeah, remember he was the one that was on the ship with the Sogwin and kept throwing things at the Sogwin because he couldn't get out there to fight.
No. I meant the adventurer
Or
that's supposed to be there.
Yeah, I remember him, but he didn't do it.
He didn't do anything.
participate
He
in it.
basically stayed below decks
Yeah.
Okay.
and basically was kind of very quiet. He did organize some games with the crews down below, but other than that, he was basically totally nondescript on the journey over.
and he was the only other person that was supposed to be with us, right?
He was, supposedly the 5th adventurer that was supposed to be going with you guys.
Alright.
Well, and then there was what was her name? Cora?
That's who we're talking
That
about.
is Cora.
Cora.
Well, no, who's the female cleric?
Chandri. She is actually like the
Chandri.
ship's medic.
Okay, so she was part of the ship's crew. Okay.
Correct. Yes.
Well, we're about to meet the king. Who would like to speak? I vote not Baldr.
I am voting for you.
I guess I'll vote for Leah.
I vote for Leah.
I don't know.
None of us are good at it. we need to. Okay, rollies. We all do rollies.
Aldrum does not want Max to be speaking for him under any circumstances.
Everybody roll a d20. Whoever gets the highest
Or lowest.
or lowest.
We'll go with lowest.
We should probably decide before we all roll what the whether it's high or low.
I would vote for Baldrum.
All right, we're going with highest.
You guys are drawing straws to decide.
Baldrum will do it. That's fine.
I didn't want to roll.
Baldrum will do it. He doesn't mind.
Baldrum, go.
I rolled highest, so my vote's the one that counts. Baldrum's talking.
There you go.
So the 5 of you work your way over to Stone Rise Keep.
Who's the 5th person with us?
Burn, the teenage boy who you saved.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Scout.
Yep, up close, you begin to realize the fort has taken some pretty serious damage over the years. Some of the wings are entirely collapsed. The seaward wall has fallen over the 100-foot cliffs to the ocean below. You're escorted through the ruins of an outer fortress by 6 warriors before reaching the central keep, which is in shockingly good shape when you compare it to the kind of ruins that you just walked through to get here. A huge pair of iron-banded doors swing open before you, revealing an immense feast hall lit by flaming braziers. At the end of the hall is King Olgrave Redaxe, a weather-beaten man with a red beard. He rises from his throne and, in a deep, gravelly voice, says, "Welcome to Stonerise Keep, the Warden of the Waves and ancestral home of House Redaxe."
We appreciate your kind welcome. I'm Baldrum, and these are my companions.
Is welcome. I'm glad the Lord's Alliance finally saw through to respond to my help. It's been nearly 310 days since this crash happened. And he kind of gestures to you all towards like a large banquet table, and it's not really like a king's court that you would kind of think of. It's like a large hall with a big table in the middle, and there's just kind of people moving around. No one really seems to pay him much heed. There's just these big pitchers of ale at the table with fresh fruit and dried fish kind of smattered on like various serving plates for you to help yourself if you're hungry. He goes, the pirate attacks over the last few weeks have just increased to unprecedented levels. They've been very disruptive, and the Lord's Alliance asked for more help from my King's fleet. And, we have almost 200 ships in the King's fleet, so we've sent many of our ships and our manpower out to protect our allies from the pirate menace. And as a result, I just don't have the manpower here to handle it ourselves. Normally, we Northmen don't ask for help. We would handle our own affairs, but we've sent so many of our own people out to respond to the pirate menace, I just don't have the manpower to send a party up there. That's why I sent Store to ask for help from our allies.
I have noticed an increase in pirates. We were attacked on the way here too.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. They're all over the place.
A trifling party. You do not need to justify or delay to us. We're here now. We're ready to work.
Excellent. Well, I'm sure the Lord's Alliance sent the best, most qualified people to deal with this problem. The crash occurred in the town of Fiskbark. It's on the western shore of the island. It's about a 3-day walk on foot.
Is the nature of the crash suspected to be tied to the pirate incursions?
So I have no idea. I haven't been there. But there's several mountain trails that should take you easily through the island and from here to there.
We have been hearing strange rumors about the nature of these crashings.
Hey, we were told that a ship fell out of the sky in the crash. Is that true?
Yes, Jarl Frostgale relayed that rumor to me as well. That doesn't seem to make any sense to me. So I'm not quite sure what to believe, but I find it very hard to believe that the ship fell out of the sky. And then Byrne kind of quietly says, No, I saw it. It looked like a meteor.
It is a strange world out there. Anything could happen. But it is hard to believe. I agree with you on that.
Do you have a map or a heading? We'll set off immediately.
He can provide you like a basic map of the island.
Thank you.
We are needing provisions. You will provide?
Of course. There's already set out for you on your way out. I'll have one of my men give it to you. If you want to go see a Jarl Frostgale, he's the leader of that local area. He's be wary. He's a bit of a hothead, and he's annoyed because he's lost some of his villagers since the crash, and it's taken so long to get somebody up here. He's not a proponent of the Lord's Alliance, so he may not be particularly friendly when you arrive. Just be aware of that.
Okay.
Yeah, whatever.
Okay.
Well, unless you have any other questions, we've waited long enough. You can be on your way.
Max can start opening his mouth and then think and then not say anything.
Fair tides. Baldrum goes, gets the provisions, and gets ready to go.
It was Jarl. What was his last name?
Jarl Frost.
Jarl Frostgale. Jarl being the title, like Duke, basically.
Yeah.
As we're leaving the entire stone keep and going down the steps there, I would say, looks like they really need a stonemason here. That's it.
Okay.
Just an offhand comment.
All
Got
right,
the
well,
castle.
where to?
To the Frost guy.
Are you going to Fiskbark? Fiskback? Some of these
Yes.
names.
So,
Yeah, I think going to Fist Bar.
How do you spell it?
No, the R is not a typo. But I'm going to say it's pronounced Fiskback. It's a silent R.
It
that is
might be
bullshit spelling.
Right? It's
Fisk-
cheating at Scrabble, right?
Fiskbach, maybe.
Sure.
Fist Quebec.
Here, let's see. There's a pronunciation guide here.
Anyways, I think we're going to that one town.
All right. So Byrne can easily kind of show you the trails back, even though has only been here a couple times. It's frankly just not that big of a place. So you work your way through the mountains. Up high, the air is thinner, the weather is colder. You passed a couple of homesteads here or there, people, doing like mountainside ranching, basically. Fiskerbach. There
Yep.
you go. Fiskerbach. And after 2 days of travel, on the third day, the 20th of Alturiac, in the late afternoon, you arrive in the town of Fiskerbach. It's a small fishing village on the western coast. It is Byrne's home village, and the local noble is one Jarl Frostgale. There's basically nothing here other than a fishing village and the Jarl's Hold. In the center is the hold is basically a large thatched feast hall, and the doors to the entrance are decorated with the colossal jaws of what looks like a massive shark that they use like as the door jamb for the door entering into Jarl Frostgale's hold.
Well, I think that's where we go then. We go to the Jarl's Hold.
Yeah, I don't see why we wouldn't. I'm guessing there's not much of a town other than the hold.
Nope, it's just a fishing village. So there it is. Oh, actually, you know what would be easier to do? Let me do it this way. As you walk in through the large double doors, you see similar to the King's setup, but not quite as opulent, I would say. You know, animal skins and heads on the walls. You can see a boar roasting on an open spit in the back. Half dozen, maybe more warriors at a long table with the man you presume to be Jarl Frostgale sitting at the head of the table. There's all kinds of overcooked meats and ale scattered across. And as you enter the hall, kind of you get the the old western where everything stops when the stranger enters the tavern type of experience.
Just a record scratch, like.
And Jarl, you can see he recognizes Byrne. He stands up and he goes, "Byrne, where have you been, and who are these foreigners in my hall?" And he says, "Jarl, they rescued me. I was attacked by the fish devils, the sea devils, and they rescued me." And you can make an insight check, you guys. Max and Leah, he as he's looking at Byrne, you sense that he is debating what he's going to say next. And he says, "Well, Byrne, my boy, I'm happy to see you back. We've all been very worried about you." So, well, you're welcome in my hall for saving the young man. Is there any other reason that you all are here?
Yes, Jarl. We've come to investigate the crash.
Well. They finally decided to respond to all of the calls for help. How nice of the Lord's Alliance to make time out of their busy schedule for us backwater fishermen.
You and I know the Lord's Alliance has no love for small villages outside of their immediate eye line. But we're here now.
He kind of raises his eyebrow at you, goes, "Indeed. Well, make room, boyos." And everyone kind of scooches over. And
I was about to say, this is the exact type of person we need to talk to this guy.
I know, right?
Too blunt and to the point, just like, yeah, fuck those guys. Like, oh yeah, fuck those guys. Like,
they bring out some more food where it's plentiful.
Well, it's not like we're really members of the Lord's Alliance. We're just
everywhere we go, they have food for us. The last guys had fish. These guys are already giving us food. Like, we're getting fat.
Jarl makes room next to him and has Byrne come sit next to him, and Byrne seems both uncomfortable and kind of feeling important, if that makes sense.
Mm.
And then, do you guys have a greasy ale-filled meal with the Jarl and his warriors?
Baldrum would try to eat quickly and then just be like, "Jarl Frostgale, I don't mean to be rude, but we do need to set off. This crash has waited long enough. It'd be nice for us to get to the site before and whatever evidence is left is completely washed away. If you have any other information to provide, it would be most helpful."
I like the cut of your jib, dwarf. You're absolutely right. The crash happened almost 10 days ago. Several villagers came to tell me that a star had fallen from the sky, killing some of their family. I don't know about any of that. And Byrne goes, "No, I swear I saw it." And the Jarl kind of goes, "Of course, Byrne, of course." Well, when we went to look, the ship was strange, made of some metal that I'd never seen before. I'd like to clear up the crash, and I'm happy to provide the manpower to do it, but I've already lost some of my men, and I want to make sure it's not dangerous before I send some more of my folk to clear it out.
The ship is being made of metal?
Yes, it's very strange looking. I refuse to send my men up close, though. And he kind of, you see him give a sidelong glance to Byrne. He goes, "There's already been enough tragedy."
It is admirable not to want to send your men into a mysterious encounter dangerous such as this for no gain.
Do you know if there are any anything creeping around there?
I've told my people to avoid the area, so I'm not sure, to be honest, but that would be something I hope that you can tell me after you take a look.
A wise decision. We'll come back with our discovery.
This star fell On land or in water?
It's on the coast, but it is on land.
This is good.
Does it get overtaken by the tide at any time? Or does
No.
the tide reach it? Okay.
Baldrum's already ready to go.
So's Balazar.
Leah is too, but she'll thank them for their hospitality.
Burn, are you coming with us?
He goes, well, I'd like to return to my home.
All right. And then he goes.
And the Jarl goes, well, Burn, maybe it's why don't you partake in my hospitality this night? I can have a bed set aside for you. He goes, no, I'd really like to go home.
Burn, you are a long time without rest. You should stay with Jarl tonight.
He says, no, I really want to stay with Leah. And he's getting almost insistent, like desperate.
Stay where you want, boy.
Can I insight check that?
Me too.
Which part?
Burn being insistent on staying by Lee if he's like afraid of the Jarl, pretty much.
Oh, okay, sure.
$14.
19.
You don't get the feeling he's afraid of the Jarl, more that he's got a little bit of PTSD, like abandonment issues, basically.
Well, I am detecting from the Jarl that his parents are dead. With him.
And as you guys are leaving, the Jarl goes, Dwarf, may I have a moment?
Well, I actually wanted to talk to the kid before we go.
Okay.
I'm just gonna ask him.
You must be telling me everything you saw with this star.
He goes, well, there's not much to tell. It just happened fast. It was a bright streak across the sky, and then a short while later, there was a loud noise of, I can't describe it. It was like a crash, but I don't know, just piercing. Like, I've seen shipwrecks before, and the sound of the wood crashing is one thing, but I've never heard a noise like this of the crash. I didn't see it land itself. I just saw the streak, and we all heard the crash.
You did not see it land. Did you see it after it landed?
No, my parents, we made everyone stay far away from there. We heard stories of people going missing, and
Thank you.
do you hang back, Baldrum?
Yeah, Baldrum would say. Yeah, he would just silently come over there.
We'll wait for you outside there, Baldwin.
He kind of puts his hand on her shoulder. He goes, the boy's parents have not returned. If you take him home, be ready.
Haven't returned from where?
From wherever they went missing. I know the family went out for their fishing voyage, as they do ever so often, to do their catch their fish and make their living, and we just know they never returned. I was surprised to see Burn, honestly. We just expected the worst. We didn't know if it had to do with the crash or the Sahagwin that we have problems with from time to time. I'm happy to see the boy alive, but we have not heard from his parents. There have been no bodies, no traces, nothing.
Understood. I will try to take the boy with us. Perhaps these issues are related.
I hope Umberlee does not find reason to disfavor you. And you guys are off. It is toward the late part of the evening. You could make your way over to the crash, should you like. You could also go to.
So, I'm sorry. Is Burn with us?
Yes, he went outside with the rest of the party, and he held you back to have that conversation with you.
Okay. As soon as Baldrum gets outside, he would walk right up to Burn, like look him dead in the. Is he? I'm assuming he's taller than me because he's a human.
Probably not by much. He's about 15.
All right. Baldrum would just look him straight in the eye and say, "Steel your heart, boy. I have news that's going to be troubling to you.
He says, "Oh."
Your parents haven't returned from their venture. As to their location, it's currently unknown. The Jarl was sensitive about this information, didn't share it with you. I suspect it's related to this missing ship. Now you can go home, but no one is waiting for you. Instead, I'd recommend you steel yourself, come with us, and try to solve your problem rather than being overtaken by grief.
Make a persuasion check.
Max is just kind of giving a really slow, silent clap at how Baldrum's handling this. Kind of.
10.
He kind of wells up. You can tell he's trying to fight it off. He kind of took what you said into account. He's crying a little bit, but he's like, "Well, I mean, you saved me, right? You guys will save them too. You're here to investigate it. It shouldn't be a problem. You'll find them in no time, right?"
You would know quicker whether or not we find them if you come with us.
Of course, I'll do everything I can. Leah, you guys will find them, right?
We'll set off immediately.
Are you going
Leah
to-
kind of awkwardly looks between him and Baldrum and just kind of nods. Okay.
I think we're heading straight there, right? Not waiting. till the next
How
day.
far is the journey there?
It's pretty close. It's
Okay.
let me see what it says. About an hour's walk. So it's like mid-evening, so you could get there, close to dusk. It would still be daylight.
Cool.
Okay.
Sorry, kind of.
I would like to keep an eye out for anything strange, any kind of tracks that look like they don't belong, or
Sure.
anything I could find that's out of the ordinary.
We will deal with that in a moment. Let me make sure the fog of war is set properly here. So when you guys run into a beholder, it's a surprise.
Mm-hmm. Naturally.
But don't you know I have fog of war vision?
Good to know. Good to know. At second level.
Fog of war vision.
Along with blinding light vision and dark
Nice.
vision.
Do you have medium light vision?
I do not. I cannot see in medium light.
You
That's
have
the
eyeless
problem.
vision.
I think that should be.
I also have grumpy gnome vision or dwarf vision, so every time
dwarf
I look at a dwarf, I can tell if he's grumpy or not. So it lights up
All
every
dwarves
time I
kind
see
of
a
look.
dwarf.
All dwarves look a little grumpy. I think that's just dwarf vision. You can see dwarves.
That is.
Hashtag dwarf vision.
Leah, make a survival check.
14.
Uno momento. You do see some fairly fresh tracks in the sand around the wreckage as you approach.
How close to the wreckage are we?
We'll do that right now. I'm actually just getting
2 feet.
Do I have any idea what the tracks might be?
Make a nature check.
Are we within 60 feet of it?
12.
You can be.
Then I would like to take out the holy symbols, small vial with a single drop of blood mixed into the water, shake it up, and cast Divine Sense.
Ooh. What does the divine sense give you? There we go. Presence is strong. Action takes slash fiend or
I know the location of any celestial, fiend, or undead within 60 feet of me that's not behind total cover. I can also tell if the ground is consecrated or desecrated.
Oh, interesting. You sense nothing.
Okay.
You're not sure, Leah, but they are humanoid size, like medium size-esque, and webbed.
I will relay that information to the party.
And
Oh, what the fuck?
hold on.
What the
This is
fuck's
not-
that thing, Brian?
This is not the right music for this. Come on, man.
Also, we can see into this circle thing.
Oh no! Don't see that. Ignore that. Hold
Looking
on.
away.
Shh, shh, shh. That's where the beholder is. Shh, shh.
This whole thing looks like a beholder, Brian.
It looks like a giant beholder.
It's a giant
It's all covered
beholder.
up now.
All right, now it should all be. You should only see the outline of this in theory.
An ancient gray beholder.
All right, let me take it off this music, which makes no sense whatsoever.
Well, this thing seems like it sucks.
I'm gonna tell Burn to kind of stay back and like hide back in the forest.
Are these going to be
a
Bird's
little
parents?
bit, and we'll approach and make sure it's safe before he comes with us.
A strange, twisted metal ship of some kind has smashed into the ground, crumpled up, scattering debris far and wide. A few feet from the wreck are 3 human corpses that have looked like they've been there for some time. The vessel seems to be incomplete, as if torn from a larger structure. Despite this, the ship is larger than pretty much any of the houses you've seen on this entire island. Foul-smelling vapors hiss from the wreckage, burning the back of your nostrils.
Have you ever seen such a thing in your magical studies, Balazar?
I am seeing nothing like this.
And I am going to cast Mage Armor, just
Okay.
precautionarily.
To the case there's a beholder inside.
Is this an opening over here?
You could go check.
Baldrin would go check.
Balazar is going to he's gonna like just put his hand on the side of it just to see like what the material feels like.
I have stone cunning.
Stone cutting would not apply to anything here, and it feels like a cold metal. That's exactly what it is. It's a wreck made of metal entirely, and it's been sitting in the kind of frosty ocean shore.
Is it oxidizing?
Does not appear to be, no.
Okay, so that alone is kind of weird, being on the ocean shore next to salt water and it's not oxidizing. I'm going to take a step back and say,
Be giving me a few minutes.
and begin to ritually cast Detect Magic.
All right. You
How
check
does that
out
need 10 minutes?
that area, Balazar, and it is not an opening. No, it just does some damage.
Baldrum, I'm Balazar.
Right. The other B character.
It's like Brian's fatal flaw. This is
Alright.
you have 2 characters with the same starting name.
And they both start with B.
If they both start with B, you can't tell them apart. Same as
I
Brian.
mean, they both start with BAL. I mean,
I suppose.
Yeah,
You guys can't convince me that it was not an investigate.
it wasn't intentional.
I call nanigans.
It seriously wasn't.
All my new characters are BA characters.
so do these 2 corpses resemble Burn?
You can go over there and look at them, of course.
I'm right over. I'm right there.
All right. They are not Burn's parents, no.
Okay. This is good news.
Hey, Bird, are these dead people your parents? But I don't say that.
That's a little better.
I'm going to be keeping an eye out, like, on the back over here and also towards Burn to make sure nothing's coming.
Burn looks slightly petrified, but he's trying to put on a brave face.
I'm gonna tell him that he should stay. He should stay back. As he starts to come closer, I'm going to tell him to not come closer.
He says okay, but you can tell he's trying to split the difference between not being left alone and also not going closer to that ship. He kind of doesn't want to do either, to be honest.
Mm.
And you could look at the bodies also if you chose to.
Sure.
Other than
I'll give them more of a cursory examination.
you may make a medicine check.
I would probably help him with that.
No, then a natural 20 for 22.
Baldrum's just focusing on the ship and looking for threats. He's not dealing with any of this.
As you're looking, and actually, Balazar, you would have noticed this as well when you're looking at the side of the ship. There are occasionally odd carvings on the side that look like some kind of alphabet that it looks totally alien to you. Leah, you notice all 3 of the corpses. You speculate that they've been dead for approximately 10 days, and all 3 of them have blood running from their ears.
Oh man, is this an alien campaign, Brian?
Do I recognize the writing on the side of the ship?
I
What
have an
languages do you
idea of
speak?
what this is.
I speak Aquan, Celestial, Common, Draconic, Elvish, and Sylvan.
That's a lot of languages, but no.
Okay.
Primordial?
Do you speak that?
Yes.
All right, well, let me hold on. Let me make sure I give the right information.
Yeah,
here.
common, Sylvan, Elvish, and Undercommon.
Dwarvish and common.
One moment.
Aldrim's not a learned man.
And he wants newspapers even though he can't read.
He can read.
I enjoy the comic strips.
The pictures are funny.
Calvin and Hobbes are my favorite. Great lessons to be learned.
I like the big cat that
Okay,
eats
so
lasagna.
sorry. Tell me what languages you guys speak one more time.
I speak Common, Draconic, and Primordial.
Common.
Okay.
Is it Dwarven? I bet it's Dwarven.
What languages does Baldrum speak?
Common and Dwarven.
Okay, I know I already said Max and Leah. Which ones did you speak again?
Common, Elvish, Sylvan, and Undercommon.
Hold on 1 second. It is written in Undercommon.
Hey.
My theory is beginning to pan out.
What was the language?
Undercommon.
All right. Well, I will read it if I recognize it.
Oh.
Interesting.
Hold on a moment. Get to where that is.
Almost.
Almost.
Almost. There we are. Well done. For any of you that don't know the reference, that was the Family Guy reference of British people having sex.
Yep. British porn. Almost.
Brian,
Almost.
Baldwin
That's
would
where
be
I've heard it from.
Baldwin would be using his knowledge of water vehicles to try to tell if this vehicle is meant to be used in the water.
You are fairly certain this vehicle was not designed to be used in the water. The writing on the side.
Writings all know well.
Kind of not expecting to have someone to have Undercommon
No, I
as a
honestly
language.
wasn't. Yeah.
Sorry.
No. It's fine. It's fine.
You know, I had Undercommon. I was like, nah, I'll pick Celestial instead.
I speak Dwarvish.
Turned out to be a good choice. We're not overlapping as much.
Yeah.
Which language would you like to speak? Not common. Who wants to speak that?
Imagine playing a character who doesn't speak common.
Balazar a year or two ago would have been that character.
No, speak a Celtic.
That's what it says on the side.
Would I happen to know what Zelix 4 is?
What are your proficiencies?
Animal handling, insight, nature, perception, stealth, and survival.
And what's your background?
Folk hero.
No.
Okay.
What about me?
Well, same thing. What are your proficiencies, and what is your background?
My background is far traveler.
Okay.
My proficiencies are arcane, history, investigation, and perception.
I doubt mine will
Okay.
be it, but can I see?
Yeah, but yeah, same thing. What's your background and your
Background is hermit. Proficiency are acrobatics, investigation, medicine, nature, perception, religion, and survival.
no?
Okay. I'll be right back again, but I can hear.
Well, I think we were waiting for Balazar to finish. Detect
Oh yeah,
magic.
you finished casting detect magic, right? Okay, that's what.
Yeah.
Detect magic is. Let me read it real quick. I want to make sure we do this right because I know Thomas and I were talking about making sure we don't overpower the spell. For the
What
duration,
spell? Detect magic?
Detect magic.
Yeah, we decided it's like you can see a little glow coming off of something that will
Right,
be a
increase
different
time.
color based on the school of magic.
Spell can
And
affect-
then if you focus on something, if you take your action to focus on something, you can get more detail.
correct. You do not detect any magic within 30 feet of. Actually, hold on a second. You do not detect any magic within 30 feet of you. Also, you are aware that it is not penetrating the outer metal of this wreckage as well.
Hmm.
Well, I guess we should investigate inside then.
Do I have any idea of what the outer material of this ship is made of?
Make an intelligence check.
Intelligence. 5.
No clue. It's not like any metal you've encountered before.
We must be cautious. This is unlike any I have ever seen.
I've heard rumors of machines like this that exist in the Nine Hells, but nothing here. Perhaps some type of fiendish incursion?
I'm not thinking fiend.
Sky
Do
Agents.
not.
Perhaps this has fallen off of one of their flying castles.
I do not know.
Well, shall we?
I'm going to let Baldrum go first.
It's a good idea.
Fair enough.
Baldrum would ask that Leodel stay between him and Balazar. Leodel, would you cover me, please?
All right.
Carefully, you see the rear of the wreckage has been the sundered end of the wreckage. As you approach the back baldrum, you can see noxious gases spouting from ruptured tubes. Peering through the haze, you make out a circular door on the far wall. The contents of this room have been largely destroyed, smashed glass vials covering the floor, thin metal wires strewn about, and crumpled metal instruments littered the floor and the shelves.
Okay. Baldrum's gonna tell everyone to stay back for a second. He's going to take a quick whiff of the gases and see if they are poisonous.
Make a Constitution saving throw.
I have advantage because I'm a dwarf.
You're a dwarf.
If it is poison.
And resistance to any damage that happens.
We're only terrible.
That's pretty average.
As you take a quick breath, you feel the gases burning your nose and your throat, and you start coughing and gagging, and you have the poisoned condition.
Fuck. Stay back, some type of gas.
Perhaps there is being another way in on this.
I just moved you to get the condition. Hold on, stop moving. Because it was going off the edge of the map. I was like, I can't see it.
Gotcha.
There we go.
I would walk him and say, "Let me take a look." And I would
I'd
walk
like to
in.
try something first, if I may. You might want to
All
take
right.
a step back. And Baldrum's going to light a torch and throw it into gas and see if it's flammable.
Oh, I'm gonna
Oh,
back
geez.
up if you start to do that.
Oh, yeah, he'd tell everyone to back up first.
I might have asked.
Yeah.
I probably would ask you to not do that as soon as I saw you light the torch.
Now you make opposed dexterity checks. We'll see who's faster.
Oops, that was a save, but 17.
The same thing, right? Oh no, not. So he manages to just throw it before you can catch him. The torch flies into the small room and lands amidst the fumes. It just kind of gives a alien kind of glow through the noxious fumes, but doesn't seem to have any effect otherwise.
You could have blown up the
I'll
entire ship by doing that. But let me check.
I'll come over here and use prestidigitation to snuff the torch.
Okay, easily done.
Why don't we go around to the other side and see if there's an opening?
And I will walk in a little way.
Okay, make a Constitution saving throw.
You're talking too much sense, Jay.
Although, just let you know, Brian, I have that.
Oh, okay. Um. Go ahead and make a Constitution saving throw. Max walks into the fumes and doesn't seem to have any effect on him.
I'll just. Are the fumes opaque at all, where they can't see
Kind
me?
of yellowish tinted, like you can see through it, but it's like a yellow fog.
Mustard gas.
Okay. When I come in here, do I see any entrance or anything else of note in here?
Let's see, great question. I'm sure there would be. Otherwise, it's going to be a really quick thing, right?
Yeah.
Nope. Investigation's over. That's it.
No way to get in. We're out.
Let's see.
And you said the fumes are coming out of pipes or something?
Yeah, there's the kind of like busted pipes at the bottom near the door where you're going up to, or the portal.
Okay.
It seems to be kind of slowly emitting these fumes.
Actually, would I just be able to take a couple pieces of cloth and wrap around the pipes, try and stop this fumes from leaking out?
You kind of mess with them a little bit. You stomp on them, you wrap up stuff in it, and you think you have most of it blocked off. There's still kind of the fumes sitting there, but it slowly seems to be dissipating as they're not being filled, as it kind of just dissipates into the air around you. So if you guys waited long enough, it'll go away.
I would use prestidigitation to just do little minor gusts of wind to make it happen a little bit quicker. I mean, it's
So
not gonna be like a wind spell where it's just all gone immediately, but
I tell
So
everyone
there's-
that I'm going to go scouting around the outside, so I'd like to sneak up and around
Sure.
and take a look at the other side.
Are you specifically sneaking?
Yes.
Make a stealth check, please.
21.
All right. Excellent.
Brian, I'm going to spend 5 hit points from my lay on hands to neutralize the poison.
Excellent.
And Stillwater will just say a little prayer about the tides guiding him on his way. And
All right. So, Leah, as you go across the other side of the ship there, you do see a rupture in the hull that you could crawl through to get to the inside.
All right, but I don't see inside it.
It's pretty dark in there. There's no source of light other than the outside. So the only thing you see is what looks there. That looks like a. It's like a. Best way to describe it. It's. Hold on a second. It's like a cylindrical container for holding liquid, and it had a glass covering over it, and it's been shattered.
Okay. I'll approach sneakily, and I'll take a peek inside to see if I can see around the inside.
You do have dark vision, right?
Yep.
Make a perception check.
While Leah's doing this, I would ask Baldrum, do we need to go with Leodella?
19.
Or...
She wouldn't be foolish enough to go in on her own. She's smart.
Alright.
All right. Hold on 1 second here.
And I will go inside. No, I'm kidding.
That's why I said that. I thought it'd be funny if then you're like, I'm going in.
Yeah.
Going in, boys. Going in. All right. It's a cylindrical shaped container. I know on the battle map it looks square, but it's actually cylindrical shaped. And there's 8 of these like large cylinders that are kind of filled with this green, murky brine type liquid and have a glass cover on top of them. 2 of them have been shattered, 6 of them are intact. Floating in these pools are dozens of dead tadpole-like creatures with vicious little teeth and slender tentacles. And at the end of one of the chambers are 2 desks covered in broken equipment. Across the room, he looks like he's attempting to hide as a humanoid, green-skinned, elf-looking creature, kind of hiding behind one of these. And as you approach, he sees that you see him, and he charges towards you.
Hold on, I had a 21 stealth check.
Oh, you know what? You're absolutely right. Let me make him roll it. You're right. You're right. You're right. You're right. You're right.
So who else
Stealthy
knows
elf.
exactly what's going on here?
Only one.
No, I mean meta game.
No, I have no idea.
Oh, I know exactly what this is.
I know, and it ruins it for you. Everyone else gets to experience it.
Yeah.
This is why I switched from Forgotten Realms, Brian. Aaron ruins everything. You know who Karsus was? Who knows who Karsus is? You fucking weirdo. You nerd. That's why I had to go homebrew. Aaron knows too many things.
Okay. We're gonna going to retcon a bit. He is hiding, and he does not see you enter. He is kind of slumped up against the wall back here, kind of hiding behind one of these liquid containers, leaning against it.
All right. Well, then I will sneak my way back to the group,
All right.
and I will let them know what I saw.
As you are walking up, you hear Max to Baldrum go, "Hey, should we go with her?"
She would never be foolish enough to go in on her own.
Okay, so I wasn't foolish enough to go in on my own, but there's a guy in there.
Don't ask me how I know, because I definitely didn't go in on my own.
Excellent. Balder would pick his trident up out of the sand and start walking over there.
And I would tell them all the other stuff that's in there. Creepy green liquid containers. Yeah, okay, we're going.
It makes it less fun for you, Aaron, that you know what's going on too, honestly.
It does a little bit, but can I make some kind of check to know what's? Do I have any idea what any of this?
I
Probably
don't think
not.
you would, based on your background and
Yeah.
efficiencies. That's one of the reasons I asked. I don't think any of you would have any background from which to draw what's going on.
Yeah. Okay. Well, when we get over here and I see the dark, I'm gonna cast dancing lights.
Oh, to put a little vision in there.
Uh huh.
Okay.
Just wondering, I was gonna come up here after everything, see if these doors are locked. As stealthily as I could. Just see.
All right.
Also, Thomas, I knew who Manchun was as well.
God, I'm so glad I switched to homebrew.
I actually knew who he was too because I read some of the Forgotten Realms novels.
And it's just a monster.
Well, one of the advantages to using like a non-wizards module is there's less of a chance to draw some of those. Let's see. Anyway,
Well,
Max.
I suspected as soon as I saw
You're a monster, Aaron.
the thing, and then when you said tadpole, I was like, oh yeah, okay.
So are these doors locked?
Hold on one second. I'm looking. Make an investigation check, Max. Okay, well that'll do. And let me see here. You find there's about eye level with you on each door, or I'm sorry, it would be on one of the doors. There's these two like metal plates that have some symbols on them and some holes in them, but you can't quite make heads or tails of it.
I'm gonna whisper to Baldrum. Do you want me to try to talk to it? I think I speak its language.
I would come back around this way then after that.
I would prefer you not expose yourself so directly, but I don't see another choice given I don't speak the tongue. Just stay behind me.
Do you want the light in? Yes.
Before we go in, do I see anything moving in the ocean?
Make a perception check. Ooh. I hate to do this, but I just realized something, and I think we have to retcon about 2 minutes.
Nope.
Okay.
I refuse. No retconning.
Hold on one moment here. Here.
Everyone knows as a DM, if you make a mistake,
Yeah, I know.
can't go back on it.
Yeah, you just gotta roll with it. You gotta.
Like that time I killed Aaron in boots.
Yeah. You definitely don't go back.
Leah, you see this creature hiding in the corner, and he sees you as you approach, or more aptly senses you and charges, and I need you to roll initiative.
Okay.
Senses. I assume we're all rolling initiative?
You guys can roll initiative because you would hear stuff happening in a moment, but basically only these two will act in the first round.
All right.
I would have been up closer by Leodell. Oh wait, we're retconning.
No, you guys were
Yeah.
discussing if
You're right,
you're,
you're right,
going to go with her or not, because she's not foolish enough to go on herself.
Of course she's not. I trust her implicitly.
It gets cut off at the line of, she's not foolish enough to.
Leonel! Leonel!
Technically, I didn't go in alone. I just looked in alone.
The hell? That's
You're definitely in adjacent.
Yes, I'm adjacent to being in. I'm not in.
But you're not out either,
Oh,
because you're in where the wall was. So out would be out here.
I was just barely peeking inside.
Now we got one over here too.
What? What's happening? And we can totally see what the name of it is.
It's a Gith Yanker.
I get the anchor.
So as you're peeking in, Leah, this green-skinned elf, an eared-ish creature, gathers himself up and charges towards you.
With a
His
nose that
armor
looks
is-
like he got punched in the face.
His armor is, clearly damaged, and he is suffering from a broken leg as he charges toward you.
Okay. Well, now hold on. Don't I get to go first?
Oh shit, you're right, you do. I apologize. You go first. He's moving toward you, though, or he's getting up.
He
I
just
should say.
really wants this guy to hit you in the face.
I know.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna back up out to about here. So, and I'm gonna try to keep a line of sight on him, even though it's so yeah, I guess I would be one further over. And I'm gonna call out in Undercommon in his direction. Who are you? We come in peace. Hello? They see him running, and to kind of indicate to everyone else that there's something in there that's running out of the ship.
All right.
And has
Is
noticed
that it
me.
for your turn?
Now, is this really a guy that's sitting up here? Like, are we seeing
No,
this?
I don't know. No, that's not there. I don't know
Okay.
where that's in.
Yeah, and I will hold a short bow attack if the thing breaks the plane out to here and comes out to continue to try to attack me.
He moves out of your line of vision.
Okay.
Baldrum, you hear Leah yelling at somebody
In a foreign language.
in a foreign language.
I look at Max and I say, "Seems I was mistaken."
She was foolish enough.
Baldrum will run up here. Doesn't see anything, right? Besides Leodil over here.
That's correct.
Though you notice that I am pointing my arrow in this
A bow,
direction.
yeah, bow with
My
that,
bow, and very...
Leodil, what have you found? And then he'll dash over to here. And that's it.
All right.
Obviously facing, inwards.
Leah?
Okay. Well... Huh. I guess I will come over here and see if when he went out of my line of sight, which direction did he go?
He went... Oh, you can't see that. He went to the right, basically, on the map.
Okay. So I'll train out this way and see if I can see him anywhere as I walk along.
Make a perception check.
16.
You do not see him.
Okay. Then I will do the same. I will ready in action in case I see something hostile. Ready short bow attack.
All right.
And I will call back to Baldrum. I look like a green elf?
I will.
They're called goblins, Leodil.
I will come over this way, and I will cast Dancing Lights,
All right.
and I will send all three inside of the ship.
Okay. So now this room
And,
is normally lit.
Yeah, I would try to give it an even coverage.
All right. Neither Baldrum nor Leah see anything.
Okay. That's weird. The light goes in, but it doesn't light up.
No, let me rephrase. You don't see him. You see what's inside the room.
Okay.
You don't see him.
Whack.
I should articulate that better. It's totally dark despite the lights.
You see nothing.
Leodil, it is whack in here.
As you walk in. What? Oh, I see what you mean.
My dog doesn't make
Max.
a choice.
I'm gonna run back here. See that they're both holding attack actions. Notice that this is a door. And I will go ahead and come back right here. Actually, right here. And ready an attack action.
At this door.
Yeah, at the door in case
Okay, I
anything
got
else
you.
come through
Sure.
it. And that's it.
All right, Leah, go ahead and make your attack action as the creature emerges from the side.
Okay. Ooh. 10 to hit.
A 10 does not hit.
Yeah.
As the creature limps out of there, charging, screaming, and attacks Baldrum.
Ooh.
Oh, that'll hurt my body.
For 14 damage.
Holy shit! It's not 22.
It didn't crit. Natural 20. Oh, I'm sorry. Wait a minute. Nope, it is 22.
I'm down.
14 slashing and 8 psychic damage.
I'm down.
Oh my
He charges
god.
out of the thing.
I see
and
nothing,
one-shot
Leodell.
Baldrum.
Ah!
Wow, that's a lot of damage.
It's a lot of damage.
Baldrum, I'm going to make a death saving throw for you.
Sure.
All right. Leah?
I guess I will take another short bow shot at this guy. 19 to hit.
A 19 to hit will hit,
Okay, and I will mark him as my favorite foe
as you do.
for 10 damage.
He seems to be pretty grievously wounded already and is now even more so,
Okay.
as the arrow embeds in his abdomen. Balazar.
Magic missile.
Sure. Tried and true.
As you do.
9 damage.
Arcane energy shoots from Balazar, hits the creature. He staggers a little bit, and he's kind of looking both ways like he's not sure where he wants to go. Max, you hear and an arrow and arcane energy flying around.
I'm gonna run over here to the Baldur's
See
Zone.
Baldrum down and bleeding out.
Gonna shoot this guy with my longbow.
That will miss.
No, you're not.
Ooh.
I start shooting out of my nose. Baldrum's down, and that kind of makes me miss. That's why.
He
Sure.
limps towards Leah and attacks.
Yeah. Yeah, that
28?
hits.
Jesus Christ.
For
I'm down.
28.
Almost dead outright, but not. But yeah.
He rolled almost.
What are you doing to us, Brian?
I know, right?
We're supposed to have a +5 Celestium Shield by now.
Oh, is that my mistake? I'm going to roll a death saving throw for Baldrum.
It's gonna be real awkward if Paul
And for
dies here.
Leah.
Magic missile. 10 damage.
Brian, I like this character.
I know. It would be so awkward if we had a TPK to one wounded Gith.
At least we didn't commission the art yet.
He seems to be just absolutely on death's door, Balazar, barely holding onto his sword, limping from his broken leg.
Well, that feels bad.
Max,
You have one job, Max. One job.
I'm about to shoot that thing. Yep, I guess I'll shoot at it with a bow.
Oh.
No.
and does not hit.
Okay. Why can't I roll like we were fighting on a pirate ship?
He limps towards Max and then dashes. Actually, hold on. He is going to bonus action Misty Step
Oh, Jesus.
and then use his 15 feet of movement as he limps with a broken leg toward Max. And he will attack once.
Wow, yeah.
15.
Misses.
He kind of puts all of what's last of his energy and he swings and you duck to one side. Baldrum.
Death save.
Death save for Baldrum. Death save for Leah.
I'm out of spell slots. I can't.
I could be dead.
You could be
Could
dead.
It's unfortunate.
Balazar.
Technically, I could also be dead if he rolled a natural 1.
It's true.
I cannot magic missile him again because I'm out of spell slots. So I am going to try to firebolt him. 19?
19 will hit.
Oh, that's not it.
That's not
But
damage.
he has 1 health.
6.
So he literally has 1 hit point.
Hey.
And I'm going to start moving to Baldrum to try to see if he's alive. But I don't have any actions,
Oh.
but Max does. And Max has good berries? Question mark.
I do. Oh, I do.
Love a good berry.
Max, it is. You can make it over to him and you have an action on Baldrum.
I'll walk over. It's been kind of mean to me. Yeah, I'll plop a good berry.
I'm gonna think about it for one round.
I'll plop up a good berry in his mouth.
Baldrum, you are now at 1 hit point.
I will then
2 levels
move.
of exhaustion.
Oh, jeez.
I'll move over here and can I can't toss one to Balazar, can I? As a bonus action or
Well,
anything?
you gave one to all of us.
If you guys took it, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you
Yeah.
need it.
So I've
Balazar would
got
have
one.
still. All right.
Okay.
And you would also know Leah has one.
That's as far as I can move.
All right, so one more death save, and then I'm not even gonna check. I'm gonna put a good berry in Leodell's mouth.
Hold on. Apologies. Before it gets to your turn.
Oh, actually, Baldrum could do it.
No, I
Oh,
can't.
no, he doesn't have the movement.
And I'm prone.
He's prone. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So actually, Max would have went first. Hold on a minute. Hold on.
So it'll be Baldrum's turn.
Hold on.
I can go 10 feet.
What, another one?
Oh no, I can go 5 feet next turn. Because I'm prone and I'm at half movement because of exhaustion.
Oof.
As you guys are running towards your fallen companions, you hear a burrowing sound coming from behind you.
Fuck that.
And as you watch, a quadrupedal brain erupts from the back of the fallen green creature's skull.
Oh fuck. It's one of those things. Leg brains. Oh fuck. We're level 2, Brian. Leave us alone.
Oh, and he literally goes next.
Of course he does.
That's so
Yeah.
unfortunate. It runs towards Balazar and attacks. Oh my god, these rolls are bananas.
21's gonna hit me.
For 9 slashing.
Ow.
Baldrum, you see this legged brain jumping all over Balazar and clawing him. You feel terrible. You're lying on the floor. Your wounds barely closed.
Boop.
Ah!
I give myself 6 hit points and I stand up.
Excellent.
And I'll move my 5 feet, which is my maximum movement for this turn, over here.
I'm going to make a death saving throw for Leah. Balazar.
Okay. I am going to, let's see. I am going to use my breath weapon to just vomit acid all over this thing that's right in front of me. So it needs to make a DC 13 dex save.
It failed.
So it takes 5 damage.
5 big damage. All right. Is that all for you?
That's it. It's acid damage if that matters.
It does sort of. Max.
Gonna run over to Leodell and plop a good berry in her mouth. Make her chew. Swallow.
Leodell, you wake up with 1 hit point, laying prone. Your wounds have barely closed, and you have 2 levels of exhaustion.
Brian's not playing around this time,
Can I
guys.
take it? That was my action.
Yes, that is your action.
Brian's still
I will tell Leodell. Well, a brain thing came out of the elf's head. No, we're running back this way.
Huh?
I was running back. Its brain came out of his head,
What?
and it's attacking.
The who?
Balazar, I need you to make an intelligence saving throw, please.
Fortunately, I'm a wizard. 10.
Wow.
You're not a wizard anymore.
So you take 2d10 psychic damage
That's a lot of psychic damage.
for 8 psychic damage.
I'm down.
And that does not exceed your intelligence score, so that's good. But Balazar is down. Aldrum.
Stab the brain.
Roll to hit.
Oh my god.
That does not hit.
Wait, hang on. I might be able to do a thing still. Nope, that's an action. Never mind.
Leah?
I will stand up and I will shoot a short bow at this at the brain.
All right.
Hey, there you go.
Ooh. Now,
That'll hit.
now, does this still count as my favorite foe, or do I have to remark because this is a brain? This is the brain.
It does not count. It's not the same creature as before.
Okay, so yes, I will favorite foe, the brain.
All right. Total damage, please.
18.
18. You hit the thing square, and you're sure the wound should have felled the creature, but it doesn't take as much damage as you think it would.
Mm,
Balazar, I'm going to roll a death saving throw for you.
yeah.
All
Okay.
right.
My
Max,
20
remember
feet.
your movement is halved
Or no.
because you have 2 levels of exhaustion. Yep.
Right.
You also stood up that turn. So
Right,
it's
that's
not
why
good.
it was only 10.
Yep.
I'm gonna move over here and try and shoot the thing.
All right.
Hopefully hit it for the first time this fight.
A
19?
19 will hit.
I will also favor foe it.
All right.
Or 15.
Hey.
15 halved is 7, which is exactly how many hit points it has. Baldrum.
I stab. Oh,
No,
no,
it's
I
down.
don't stab.
It's
There's
down.
nothing left to stab.
You stab Balazar.
Be careful. Another brain could come out of that brain.
Baldrum will limp.
It's the Russian
Well,
nesting egg brain.
I will give my good berry to Balazar.
Actually, hold on a minute. Let me make sure this. Balazar, I think we said this. We were going to do one. It was 1 point of exhaustion for falling, and then 1 point per failed death saving throw, right?
Correct.
Yep.
Okay, so in that case, hold on.
Do both of us have 3?
You guys would both have actually be at -3, not -2.
Yeah, so 3 levels of exhaustion.
Correct.
So that
God
attack. So that attack would have been at disadvantage.
No, I'm not going to go through all that nonsense.
Okay.
That's a lot of retconning.
So we were both at 2 failed death saves when we got good buried. Wow.
That is correct. So here were Baldrum's death saving throws: 11, 1, 19, 18. Leah's death saving throws: 19, 1, 18. Your guys' ones were actually back to back.
Wow.
1, 1.
That's awesome.
What was my death save?
5.
Well, technically, you're not alive yet, so you shouldn't be telling us that.
Well,
Well,
he
no,
gave me a good berry.
Oh,
Give me
okay.
a good berry.
What was my death save?
You did not make one. You
Oh,
guys,
dear.
other than Max, pretty not feeling great.
Brian trying to kill us.
I mean, sometimes you got to let PCs know you're not level 20 anymore, you know?
That's true.
But you can't stop me from playing like it.
Toto, we're not level 20 anymore.
Brian, the Bastion's gone. You don't have to be so angry anymore.
I'm gonna cure wounds myself.
All right.
I'm gonna tell everyone to stay back while I check the rest of this inside, make sure there's no one else in here that was gonna come out.
I will cast Dancing Lights again and light it up for you.
No, I have dark vision.
You'll be able to
Still,
see as
Won't be
if
at
it were
disadvantage
bright.
anymore, yep.
Yeah, well, it will not be disadvantaged because
Make
dark
a
vision.
perception check,
And
Max.
I'll cure wounds Balazar.
Oh, thank you.
So 3 levels of exhaustion is movement is halved, disadvantage on ability scores, disadvantage on attack rolls. And
Yep.
2
Yes.
is halved and disadvantage on ability scores.
Yeah, I just added it in. It tells
You get
me.
back 8 HP, Balazar.
Oh, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
There doesn't really seem to be much in here, Max, other than the. Let me make sure. Yep, other than these kind of floating brine pools with the dead tadpoles.
I'd like to check this body. What do we have here?
Oh, good idea. I'll tell you right now. He has a great sword.
A silver greatsword.
It is a silver great sword, that is correct. And very damaged plate mail.
Nothing else on him.
Nothing else on him.
Is the plate mail made out of human materials? Common
question.
materials, I'll say.
I don't know how long you're going to spend looking at it.
Yeah, Baldrum probably doesn't care. Baldrum's just like, Leodell, you still stand.
Well enough. And I'm guessing Burn is okay?
Yeah, he kind of hid while he heard the fighting, and now he rounded the corner and he sees these bodies with the Gith whose head has exploded and the destroyed brain on the floor, and you guys all grievously wounded with blood all over. He's like kind of mouth agape, like he's just, oh my god.
I'll walk back out, but and say, well, the inside looks clear here, but there's still another door in there that we can't. That's closed, so I
I'm
don't know what you
gonna
guys want to do.
I'm gonna ritually cast detect magic again.
Oh, actually,
Before we
hold on.
continue, I'll need to sit down a moment, and Baldrin will fall over into the sand.
Well,
Sure.
we should
Maybe-
probably wait
maybe we
inside.
should-
That way,
Maybe we should move away from this. Away.
we're just inside of here. I can watch. I can keep watch on the door while you guys rest. I'll even set up an alarm.
Well, I'm more worried about something coming out of that room.
Do we want to get like 100 yards away from it?
You tell me.
That is what Leodell would like to do.
It's up
I
to
think
you
that
guys.
That makes sense. Let's get about 100 yards away from it.
And then what are you doing?
But we'll grab
Short-
the great sword.
short
and-
rest.
We'll grab the great
take a
sword
short
and the
rest?
armor.
Yeah.
And we'll go out to take a short rest too.
And I'm gonna ritually cast a alarm to put around everyone while they're short resting.
Put alarm at the entrance over here. Like at this doorway over here. If you put alarm over here, we'll know if anything comes out of there.
Okay, yeah, I'll put alarm. This is 20 by 20 foot cube, so I'd probably put about right here.
Okay. So you guys collapse on the beach.
And I would make it a silent alarm where it just beeps inside of my head instead of the audible one.
And Burn stays close to Leah, stays away from those grotesque, terrible things. And
No, we're
an hour
going
goes-
like 100 feet that way. Like,
Oh, that way. Okay,
yeah,
I gotcha.
we're like
Okay.
going away from it to take a rest.
So an hour goes by uneventfully. You are able to successfully complete a short rest.
Okay.
Did the alarm go off at all?
The alarm did not go off.
No.
Might as well burn them both. Ah, of course I get a 9 on the second one.
Yep. That's how it always goes.
And I use our recovery and get 2 spell slots back.
Excellent.
I get no levels of
I thought
exhaustion.
you would
but
only get one because you only get half of your level.
I thought it was equal to your level.
Mhm.
half.
Arcane recovery staff.
Let's see.
Rounded down.
Equal to or less. Okay, so I get 1. Well, it's still a spell slot.
Yeah.
Sure.
More than what I got now.
All right.
Okay, so when we get back, I'm going to ritually cast Detect Magic, and then I want to look inside and see if there's anything that's magical.
When you walk inside, nothing in this room radiates as magic.
While he's ritually casting it, I would ask Leodell to come over here, assuming all this stuff is dissipated by now,
Mhm.
and point out those symbols on the door. See if you can tell me what that says.
Okay.
Yep, absolutely. You can read it. They are, it's instructions on how to open the door.
Okay. But we
You don't-
already know how to get in there, so.
Right, but he didn't know what I said before.
Okay.
Instructions on how to open the door. Even though you can tell that's what it is, they actually don't make a lot of sense to you because a couple of the words refer to body parts that you don't think you have.
Okay.
Brian, this has completely subverted my expectations of what this campaign was going to be.
Likewise.
I wasn't ready for bullshit.
All right. Well, let's check
It-
out.
it-
Let's
it-
check out the
it-
store.
It is
Uh,
bullshit.
This door actually is very similar to the other one, but the first one was pretty much intact. This one has been pretty heavily damaged, but it is still secure. You can tell not as secure as the one behind you. Also, once again, it has a similar plate with similar holes on it and instructions, which don't make much sense to you because They refer to things that you don't have, so you're not some of the words you don't know, even though you can read them. It looks like it might be damaged enough to where you could maybe force it open.
I'm gonna go back out here, grab this brain thing, and try and put like its arms inside the slots. You said we're there.
Sure.
All
We'll
right.
try to use the brain to open the door.
Okay. It doesn't look like any of the appendages from the brain fit into any of the holes.
I'm going to ask Leodel,
What do these symbols be meaning on this door?
I'll explain it as best I can.
can I, like, intelligence or arcana or something to see if I can figure out how this is supposed to work?
Well, the figures out how it works. So basically, you're supposed to insert something inside of these holes and then manipulate what's inside. But what's required to go into those holes, none of you have.
Can I tell by looking at the size and shape of the holes what I can think of might supposed to be going in it?
They're a little bit larger than fingers, and there's 4 of them.
Tentacles. I bet it's tentacles.
And did this creature have 4? The brain thing?
No, the brain thing is literally like a brain with 4 legs.
So no tentacle. Oh, and the 4 legs don't fit?
The 4 legs do not fit. No, they're too big.
Fuck.
Well, first I'm going to go up and just see if I can check it for traps or anything that might fall or anything damage like that.
Make an investigation check.
13.
As best you can tell, the door itself is safe other than it's damaged, but you don't see anything that you think would be inherently dangerous.
Alright. Well, Baldrum, do you want to break it down?
I'm feeling a bit winded at the moment. I can try. But if there's anything on the other side of that door, I don't think we're prepared to face it.
Good thing you're going first then, right?
Burn, get in here.
What? Oh my god, what is this?
If we die, you'll need a weapon. And Baldwin will toss him a javelin.
He kind of fumbles it and picks it up, and he looks scared out of his mind. He's crying, but trying not to.
I'm going to ritually cast alarm, but make it out here.
Okay.
If we die, Burn, you should be running.
Worry not. If we die, you'll soon follow after.
You can't die. You have to find my parents. You can't die.
Death is quite peaceful, I've heard. And I'll try to break down the door.
I'm gonna
somebody
ready
could
an
help
attack
you
action.
with a straight roll.
Is that an athletics check?
It is an athletics check.
So someone help him. I'm not very strong, but I've got a 10. Yeah, I'll try.
Yeah,
Oh,
give
better
it
than
a
a 9.
I'm just
Double.
ready an
There
attack.
you go. Even with disadvantage, the DC to actually force the door open was 18.
Let's go.
But I helped him, so it's a straight.
Rah.
That's the best roll you guys have had all night, honestly.
No shit, the dice have
Coffee.
not been our friend.
And that
Give it.
gift just wrecked you. He rolled. Oh, God.
Yeah, I was like, what the fuck, Brian? 20 damage?
That's unreal. Oh, my God.
Did even more to Leodel.
I was honestly hesitant to bring out the leg brain, but I don't want to hold back on you guys. That's part of the fun. I want
Yeah,
to
don't
kill
be
you
a
at second
quitter,
level,
Ryan.
but at the same time,
You gotta commit.
that's right. That's why he came out.
I wasn't expecting that, but I was expecting things to come out of the ocean to attack us while we were fighting it.
Oh, could be. Yeah.
Sometimes you gotta kill your bitches. Show
And
them.
a
back.
message.
Welcome back.
So you emerge into a huge circular chamber dominated by a gigantic pool that has a similar color and consistency liquid to the tanks that are behind you. The pool is surrounded by an alien architecture that's truly horrifying to behold. The structure seems to be an unnatural mixture of molten rock and metal covered in hieroglyphics that fold together and separate As you observe them, they seem to move on the walls. The whole chamber gives off like an evil malignancy, causing the hairs on the back of your neck to stand up.
I don't have hairs.
And I'm
If
still
you
standing back
did,
here holding on tag.
They would be standing up.
Is there anything in the tank?
Let's find out.
Are you sure you want to walk up and look in there?
No, I'm looking from here.
Make a perception check at disadvantage.
Oh, why is disadvantage?
It's dark in there.
Dancing
Yeah.
lights.
Did you move them in here?
I would.
All right. Then make a regular perception check.
Oh,
Well,
But I
actually,
think I
it's
also-
still a disadvantage because you have actually exhaustion anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
7.
Doesn't seem to be anything in there.
'Cause I guess I will look too.
From back there,
Yeah, 10.
don't see anything.
I'm not getting close.
Well, I want to just kind of look over the room and see if there's anything in the room.
You gonna go into the room, or are you gonna stand in the doorway?
Baldwin
Baldwin's
went
in the
into the
room.
room.
Baldo, make a wisdom saving throw.
You fucker. Oh, that's not bad.
As you enter the chamber, you can feel your mind, your psyche being bombarded by energies, and you kind of hold it at bay, but you can just feel like you're being probed.
Stay outside. This place is tainted with dark magics. And Baldrum's looking around too, but he's not really looking around like to perceive things. He's looking around like,
What can I kill?
no, like what the fuck?
Oh, okay.
Baldrum hates this thing. Whatever it is, Baldrum hates it.
Make a perception check at disadvantage, of course.
Go!
Nope, nothing.
I'm just gonna take out. Do you have any vials, Aaron? Baldrum would ask for a vial.
Let me see. I have a.
I mean, you have the magic pouch components, right? I'm sure you have a vial or something like that in there for magic components.
I'd probably have some of my herbalism
Yeah,
too.
there's
Yeah.
totally there is vials and magic pouch
Yeah.
components for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I have a component pouch.
Cool. I'll take a vial and I'll scoop up some of the gunk.
I am ready to attack in case someone tries to grab him and pull Baldrum in.
Baldrum, as you're reaching into the pool,
No
to fill up
fucking
that
way.
vial, you're bombarded with psychic images, and what you see in front of you disappears. The horrifying sound of shearing metal fears your brain, and you feel a sequence of images flash through your mind. First, you glide through a strange silvery sea dotted with distant stars. Suddenly, you're face to face with one of those green-skinned humanoids. They stab again and again into your gut with their silver sword. With a blinding flash, you're hurtling toward the ground, flames surrounding you. You hit the ground, and everything goes black. I need you to make a wisdom saving throw, please.
I just made one, Ryan.
I know.
Make it good.
I don't do these good.
Pull a 2. 20.
Oh my god.
8.
Very
I
good.
hate to be this guy, but it's a disadvantage
It
with
is a
3
disadvantage.
levels
Yeah.
of
It
exhaustion.
is 100% a
So it's an
disadvantage.
8.
Wait, is exhaustion skill checks? Or is it
all saving throws and
Oh,
all
spell
save?
checks.
Third
Okay.
level is disadvantage on attack rolls and saving throws.
Okay, one moment. Oh, there it is. You guys see Baldrum reach in to fill up the vial, and when his hand touches the liquid, his whole body seems to stiffen up, and he falls backwards. His body is twitching and flopping on the ground. Baldrum, you are stunned for 1 minute, and I need you to roll a 1d100, please.
Oh no, am I gonna get madness? There's only a few tables I know of that are D100s, and one of them's the madness table.
And roll a d10 for me, please.
Oh, it is the madness table.
As he is flopping around on the floor, you hear him babbling and making totally incoherent noises as his body flops around on the floor.
I'm going to go in and try to grab him and drag him back out.
Make a wisdom saving throw when you cross into the room.
Yeah.
Look at Lito. I was
Welcome
like,
to the madness party.
should I shoot him? What's going on here?
22.
You feel your psyche being bombarded as you enter, but you're able to ward off. Oh, it's a disadvantage, but you're still able to ward it off.
Why am I at disadvantage?
Oh no, you're right. You're only at 2.
Did I get my
Correct,
vial
you're
of
fine.
goop, Brian?
No, you would have dropped it in there
Fuck!
between the sun and fell backwards.
A worthless venture. Get
I
the
will-
goop. Get the goop.
I will drag him out.
Okay, make a athletics check. Nice. You successfully drag him out
I
of the
fireman's
woods,
carry him out of there like no problem.
flopping around and babbling incoherently the whole time.
And then I'm gonna go back in and try to get the goop.
Yeah.
But I'm going to notice that when his hand touched the goop was when the problem started, so I'm going to try to hold the vial in such a way that my fingers never touch the goop.
Okay. You kind of look around. There's a number of tools and things scattered throughout this. You find some kind of something that you kind of
Tongs.
fake as tongs, yeah, and you are
Yeah.
able to fill it up, and you carefully dry off the outside of the vial with something that's not going to stay on your person.
Prestidigitation.
And very carefully cork it and wrap it up as carefully as you can and put it with your spell components or wherever else you're going to put it.
Yep.
I grab it out of
And,
Balazar's bag and feed it down Baldrin's throat.
Only
really.
cure for madness. The only cure for madness is more madness. Okay, I want to look. Once we get outside, I want to pull the vial out and look. Does it look opaque, or is there stuff floating in it?
Nope, it looks mostly opaque. It looks like green salt water is what it looks like, basically.
Okay.
Like lemonade, but salt water and kind of green tint. And Baldrum, after 1 minute, you find yourself conscious and able to move, but your brain is totally jumbled and you can't form coherent sentences or stop yourself from just babbling and totally saying nonsensical things. You can't speak the words you want to speak, nor can you stop yourself from babbling incoherently, but otherwise you are functional.
I think I understand him better this way. No,
See,
I'm kidding.
taken by this. Is it mine? Is it mine?
What are you trying to
Mine?
say about
Mine?
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 When Burn sees Baldrum, he hides behind Leah.
Taken by the sea, late to the meeting.
It's my flesh bicycle.
Well, we have explored this place. I think it's time for us to regroup somewhere far away from here.
Bring me a bucket.
Yes, and be resting.
You're not quite doing it all the way, Thomas. You can't say complete sentences. You have
Another
to take
story to
full-
sing the cages.
You know what, Thomas? I wanted you to take inspiration. That was amazing.
He's channeling psychos from Borderlands, and
Yeah.
it makes total sense.
Are you guys going to do anything else in the wreckage whilst you're here?
No, I think we're leaving.
I'm
I
gonna-
wanna look at the fluid that we got from the one thing, and I want to compare it to these tanks. Is it the same?
Looks like the same fluid.
Okay, and these tanks, are they all empty?
Well, no, 2 of them are empty because they're broken, but the other 6 of them are intact.
What do they have in them?
Dead tadpoles.
Nothing else?
I'm gonna look around and look for any instruments or anything that look intact that might be useful.
Actually, I want to on one of the broken tanks. I want to look and see if there are any of those dead tadpoles, and I want to put one of them in a jar too.
All right. You can find one of them. You kind of use your tongs to get it in there, and you put it in something else.
Yeah, put it in a jar too.
Okay. Easily done. Are we going back to Fiskerbark?
I have a resolve hammock.
I think we should go back to Fiskerbark, yeah. and find a place to rest.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, Burn will take you to his family's house, which is empty,
Perfect.
but you can rest there. And we complete a long rest. So everybody is one less level of
Am I
exhaustion.
still crazy?
After 7 minutes, your craziness goes away,
Whew.
and that will be our evening, and everybody will advance to level 3.
Wow, Brian, that was not how I thought this campaign was going to go, but I love it. Space things, huh? In our nautical campaign.
All right.
I guess
Knows what
you couldn't decide between astral sea and normal sea.
Put your hands to it.
Astral sea and normal sea. I see what you did there.
Why it doesn't let me select a custom paladin oath? That's annoying.
I will say that music was really good for what we were doing there, though.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, that's better.
It would be super metagamey for me to take that.
Don't take it then.
Yeah, I wouldn't take it. I wouldn't take it normally.
Well, there you go.
It would be super metagamey though.
Then don't do it.
Man, we were one roll away from losing half of the party.
Yeah.
Oh, and also, calendar thing's kind of neat.
Moving the clock forward 4 days.
Yep, it's been updated already. Should be there.
Oh, right, because we traveled there for 3 days.
Correct.
Okay.